meat.
So it wasn't just the spice in the moment; it was the spice after the moment too. So we'll get into a discussion about that. The Padres officially have signed Wandy Peralta. Now I think the attention certainly changed. Focus. It doesn't really change because attention has been there already, but the outfield and rotation. We'll have some comments from AJ Preller as he spoke on it. But other than that, it's just me and Skraby as he's trying to figure out a way to get these cameras working per usual. And I think last night for me was another frustrating night as a Laker fan. We just don't have a good matchup for the Denver Nuggets. I think that's what it's boiled down to. We don't have an answer for Jamal Murray. No one in the league has an answer for Jokic. And those two proceeded with a tie ball game in about a minute 30 last night. I mean, put the game away by themselves in like 3 plays.
So are you saying that maybe the Lakers just don't have that dog in them? Like you've been telling me all week?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you hope come playoff time, they can avoid that particular matchup.
Well, playoffs are different for any sport. Like LeBron knows when to turn it on. He can kind of cruise through some of the regular season.
I don't disagree with that, but they've lost 7 straight games, including the 4 games sweep in that.
Wait, did you say they've lost 7 straight?
7 straight.
Weren't they just coming off of like a good little run to get them to 500?
No, they've lost 7 straight to Denver.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Sorry, I should have been a little more clear.
I was like, whoa.
They've lost 7 straight to Denver. And if you've watched these last 7, it's pretty clear that and listen, LeBron, AD played fantastic last night, but they don't have an answer for Jokic. They don't have an answer for Jamal Murray. They don't have a guard that can stay in front of them. And that's been a problem for the Lakers in these matchups during the conference finals and in these matchups this season so far.
I wish they would have won.
It pisses me off because it allows, what's the guy's name? Malone, the head coach.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else, but what?
He was popping off all last year.
He was.
And if he wants to, he can continue to pop off because we haven't lost a game to the Lakers since then.
I thought you were going to say it really bothers you that they weren't able to win on Kobe Bryant's statue day.
That bothers me too, but that's less of the concern, right? I mean, it seems like any one of these like tribute days they've had for him, they've lost. Whether it be right after the passing of Kobe.
There is a lot of pressure.
I'm sure there is. Those sweet Mamba uniforms they wore last night. Also ended in a loss. So I don't know. Kind of.
You sound exasperated.
I am. I mean, watching that game, watching the final 2 minutes, the Lakers came back. They were down like 10 most of that game, but they came back. They did a lot of things good, but it just goes to show you when there is a slight when one team is slightly better than the other, when the team that's slightly worse makes a mistake, it never fails. They get hit over the head all the time. You go for a steal, you miss, that guy's wide open. He doesn't miss that shot. He makes that shot. That's what happened, it seemed like, as the Lakers got closer and closer and even tied that game at one point. But we'll get into more of that later. Skraby, how are you feeling today, man? It was first of all, it was a successful show yesterday, solely based on you and what you were able to put together yesterday.
Thanks.
You shoveled tied 10 in your mouth. And took it like a champ, man. You really did. I was not expecting that. I thought worst case scenario, we'd have to like do the show by ourselves because you would
with me on the floor.
With you on the floor. Best case scenario, right, was what happened. You were able to get it down, chin up, handled it.
I got that dog in me.
You got a little dog in you. Although your digestive tract paid the price. Though.
Yeah, it did. And as everybody knows that I am with just by me saying, yeah, you should know what my night was like. But just because I haven't really eaten anything, as Tony said, with like oils or any of the eat out or restaurant type food has on it, I reintroduced that to my system for the first time in like 2.5 months, and it was not fun. My stomach hurt a lot last night, but we're all good today. We're all good today.
So your stomach did bother you a little
It
bit.
did. It did. But I was expecting
What time did that start? Because during the show, you seemed to be fine. I know you had to run out the one time.
I did. And it was thankfully not until really I got home because I've been on the other end.
Nothing worse, especially the long drive you got. That's not a drive you want to be.
I shouldn't admit this, but when I was a drinker, my stomach was really bad because of the damage I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I knew about all of the cleanest public restrooms in San Diego on the drive down to work. So I could stop anywhere I like if I needed to get off on this exit.
Your route. You had your route planned out.
I even knew one of the guys in the gas station. I would wave to him. He was like, "Hey,
you're back again."
He's like, "You gonna buy anything this time?" No, I would always go and make sure that he knew I was buying stuff.
Sam Levitt will join us a little bit later on in the show. Talk a little Padres. We got a countdown today. Nothing too crazy. Top 5 over the top Super Bowl predictions. We had to dig deep for this one, and obviously with Super Bowl this Sunday, it's fitting to have a Super Bowl topic.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about all the different topics we could do. Like, would we want to do our snacks? No, we've already done our snacks. Do we want to do our favorite commercials? No, we've already done that. So we're going to have a little bit of fun and make predictions that could happen, but are likely not to happen. For example, like the 49ers field goal kicker makes 6 field goals and he wins the game for him. Weird stuff.
We're just making these up. These aren't actual.
They can happen, but they're not likely to happen.
Okay.
Tony, I don't know. We're not in the right wavelength.
We're not on the right wavelength right now, but we'll figure it out. You
can make it as anything you want, really.
Again, we are in that time of the year. There's just not a lot popping in sports today. Ohio State did hire an offensive coordinator. I'm sure this will make Chris Ello very happy. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, where is Chris? On the day that we need him, he is not here to talk about this story.
Chip Kelly gets the job as the Ohio State Buckeye offensive coordinator. Now, the interesting thing is, if I'm not mistaken, Chip Kelly had a head coaching job.
Yes.
Was he fired? Did I miss something?
Okay, good. We're on the same page on this one because it seems very counterproductive to go backwards in your career.
This isn't a lateral move. This is a backwards move.
Here's what I think may be going on here. He wants to get back in the NFL. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were saying that Chip Kelly is trying to check in about any job, coordinator job, position coach job in the NFL. And so he wasn't getting the right looks from the NFL teams at UCLA because UCLA is not really a powerhouse in football anymore. But if he went to Ohio State and he's the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, he's seen other coaches from Ohio State go to the NFL or go on to get another better job. So I think that's what he's doing here is he wants to be on one of the top teams in the country and get a lot of eyes on his offense. So I don't know. I mean, that could be just a theory, and it is just a theory.
Yeah, I don't know that the theory makes much sense. I'm going to be honest with you.
But why? Because he's not getting any traction at UCLA.
I mean, his offenses weren't that great at UCLA. So now I'm just saying, long gone are the days of what we used to see at Oregon, where, it was this high-powered, high-flying offense based off speed and deception and really a hurry up, right? Yeah. It was like the Phoenix Sun version of football, shooting the ball in 7 seconds, right? Yeah. They wanted to get the line, they wanted to confuse you and beat you with speed. We haven't seen that. Maybe since the first year that he took over as Eagles head coach, that offense look anything like that. You had him in 49ers awful. For a little bit.
Awful.
I don't remember anything going well.
He was 2-14. He lasted 1 year.
Yeah.
They signed him to like a 5-year deal. It was one of those things where it's like, what are you guys doing? And then he's gone.
Ohio State will pay a $1.5 million buyout for Kelly, which seems kind of light in today's day and age.
That does seem light.
Yeah, this is an interesting move. Kelly went 35-34 during 6 seasons at UCLA, concluding his tenure with 3 consecutive winning campaigns. He became the 4th college head coach in this cycle to leave a head coaching job for an assistant spot.
So let's analyze that.
Now, one of those guys joined the Packers. So it wasn't a sideways move because he went to the NFL. He moved up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where Mo Linguist was from.
Who?
Yeah, Mo.
I've never heard of him.
Linguist.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. But he took a job at Alabama. So I'm going to assume, considering I don't know who he is,
he's taking a step up.
Yeah, he's taking a step up. Kane Womack, also don't know who he is, but also took a job at Alabama. So all three of those are they may not be going from assistant to head coach. In this case, they're going from head coach to a coordinator or assistant spot. But considering we don't know who any of these guys are, they probably moved upwards.
Yeah,
Chip Kelly doesn't seem like, even if it's from UCLA to Ohio State, going from head coach to offensive coordinator doesn't seem.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But now he's in the Big Ten, and now he's at one of the better colleges.
Maybe
in the
that's
Big Ten.
maybe that there is the sole calculation. I'm moving to the Big Ten.
UCLA is in the Big Ten, right?
Yeah, he could have stayed there. He'd have been in the Big Ten as a head coach.
I can't wait to find out when he's introduced or whatever, and they ask him. Kirk Kenny, our friend from the San Diego Union Tribune, wanted to pass along his condolences about the Lakers, and he texted me and he said, at least they'll always have the NBA Cup. So that's what you're getting right now.
That's real funny there, buddy.
I have one question on the chat. Maybe we do like an Ask Us Anything type show, but
is this an Ask Us Anything type question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Balsamic Vinny says, how do you and Tony feel about someone double dipping a chip at a Super Bowl party?
Listen, when you are solely having the dip, you can go at it however you want. But if you are sharing with a bunch of mouths and hands, no double dipping, man. I'm sorry. Now, listen, I'm okay if you turn the chip over.
Okay, that's a suggestion.
Yeah, turn the chip over. I don't want the same side that was just in your mouth to now go into the dip.
It's pretty gross, I gotta say.
That's a non-starter.
Does it depend on your friend group? It depends a little bit on my friend group too, because if it's my close friends,
listen,
we've been partying for years.
What we do know is when the lights go off and the door closes, you really don't know even what your best friend is doing.
Yeah, man, that was dark and heavy, but you're right. I'm just
saying, so therefore, no, I don't care what friend group it is. Please turn your chip over or don't go back for seconds.
Oh, Wolfpack makes a great point about the turning of the chip. Your hand was already on that other side, so you're dipping your finger juice into the.
We can't control everything.
That's a great point.
Can't control. All right, well, fine. Then you can't get mad when the dipper goes in and gets the huge.
You can have the huge first dip.
Okay, it might not last as long. The dip might go out quicker.
You're right. If we're talking like ranch dip or something. Ranch, for some reason, grosses me out more than anything about like
just ranch.
No, just because it's like already liquid. So it's like, I don't know. I'm weird. Tony's giving me this look like, what are you talking about?
It's already liquid.
Yeah, it's already liquid so that when you dip the chip in, it's easier for it to like intermingle into the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how weird I am.
Well, listen, hopefully everybody has washed their hands, sanitized before. So I'm not worried about the chip being in your hand.
Jocelyn said, what in the heck is finger juice, Skraby?
I didn't even hear finger juice. That's how off the wall that was.
It's like the oils from your fingers. That's what it is.
You just have oils dripping from your
Everybody
fingers?
has oils on their fingers.
Dripping?
Not dripping.
Come on, man. That sounds terrible. Rob Manfred taking some shots, huh?
Oh, we have to go to break.
No,
my goodness.
It was a lead to a tease there.
Thank you.
Rob Manfred, the man of any type of medals you like, had something to say about the Padres. I haven't heard this yet, but sounds like Padre faithful won't be too happy with this gentleman. Hopefully, Padres can win a World Series like this year, and you'll be able to let him know how you feel personally. With a big loud boo. That's what happens when
and you're gonna want to.
Sounds like it. We'll explain on the other end. Sit back, relax, more Gwynn and Chris. 4 hours, me and Miss Skraby.
Listen to 97.3
Sometimes you need a little bit of this in your life on a Friday. .222 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby. Quote, we always watch trends in the market. I think a concern for baseball has always been, since I started in 1988, disparity on the revenue and the payroll side, Manfred said Thursday. Having said that, last year, we were talking about a different team eating up players, or two teams, right? And unless my recollection was bad, neither one of them were at that little event. Back to that again, huh? That little event we hold in late October and early November. Now, that was tongue-in-cheek, obviously. But the piece of metal, it fits in with the piece of metal.
It's not tongue-in-cheek because...
No, I think the part where he's talking about that little
I
event,
know, he just doesn't get it.
Rob is he's dry, if you will.
I could see that being funny if you're not the commissioner.
No, but he tried to drop a little funny line in there, and I'm sure if this ever gets posted to X, Twitter or X will do what it does at that point. But little subtle little shot at the Mets and Padres there, huh?
Yeah, not even a subtle shot at the Mets.
It really
and the
wasn't all
Padres.
that
He
subtle.
said there's a different team. I imagine him saying this with his pinky up to his mouth like Dr. Evil, because that's just kind of what Rob Manfred seems like to me. But I don't know why you would kind of throw a team under the bus for spending money, and then when they don't succeed, make fun of them. I don't get why the commissioner is doing this.
My guess is he's heard from quite a few owners, particularly the ones that don't spend any money, about how this is not good business, right? And probably it's been said in circles around him often. And typically a commissioner who, he knows who the guys are he needs to be, chummy with. This fits that narrative right there a little bit.
So reading between the lines, he doesn't necessarily need to be in the good graces of the Padres, but he would like to be in the good graces of teams that maybe weren't happy with the Padres spending the money that they did.
I don't know if it boils down to good graces or not, but it certainly, I'm sure, was not looked at or revered as being like excellent business by other owners across baseball.
Well, we kind of heard it. I mean, look at
we know the Rockies didn't like it.
Dick Monfort. I was searching for that name.
I'm sure there were a few others that kind of didn't necessarily call the Padres out by name, but had, little pot shots they took. And I think that's, they don't, when I say the owners probably don't want the boat rocked. They like things to go, which means as much as the fans want everybody to participate and try their best to, I don't know, put a winning team on the field. I don't know that in the business of baseball that's productive for everybody, or all the owners see it the same way. Matter of fact, we know all the owners don't see it the same way.
How does what the Dodgers did over the offseason, and I don't want to complain, but how does that make sense for baseball?
Because that's part of the haves and have not. They already, you can put the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Cubs, the Red Sox when they are deciding to spend.
I mean, the Mets are always spending.
Mets, you could put them all in that kind of a different category, right? But then everybody else is kind of grouped into the rest to the same category. And the teams outside of that top category, they have to operate, or at least we've been told they have to operate a certain way. Now, the Padres going about it the way they have kind of puts a spotlight on everybody else. Like, hey, wait a minute. It's one of the smallest, if not the smallest, media market in the game.
Yeah.
And yet they still went out and found a way to
competing,
to spend and compete. And now it looks a little bit different this year, but again, they'll still be in the top 15, top half of the league in terms of payroll.
They're going to have over $150 million, most likely.
So, I mean, I just think that the Padres were like the low hanging fruit. It almost worked out better for some of those guys that the Padres season didn't go to. Because could you imagine if the Padres had another successful season after spending the way they did in 22,
You would try to find some way to talk
the
about that.
The spotlight grows on some of those organizations that continually go out and don't spend any money to try to get better.
And then again, like the A's. The A's are the laughing joke of the league right now.
The A's are just the worst of the bunch, but there are a bunch of teams that go this route. Now,
I think it's a worse look for the league to have the A's than have the Padres spend a bunch of money and not make the playoffs. But
absolutely it is. But from a business standpoint, maybe not.
Yeah, on the chat, we got a question about, isn't the commissioner supposed to be neutral?
No, the commissioner works for the owners.
Yeah.
So
he's supposed to be neutral within each team.
Within the owners.
Yes.
But in the same way, Roger Goodell probably, we all assume, takes his main orders from, who do you think in that NFL league? Do you think all the NFL owners are equal? Right. Robert Kraft,
Jerry Jones. We know
my man in the Jets owner, Woody Johnson.
Woody Johnson, maybe Jeffrey Loria. Is that who owns him? Yeah, I believe he does. Jeffrey Loria?
I thought that was the old Marlins owner.
Okay.
You're talking about Philly.
Yes.
Philly. I'm not sure what his name is.
Yeah, Jeffrey
Loria?
Laurie.
Laurie.
Yes. Yeah, he's one of those guys who's kind of powerful as well.
Right. And there's the same structure, I would think, in the MLB. Like, there's certain owners that got a little more gravitas than some of the others. So I don't know.
It's annoying, though. Yeah. It's annoying to hear the commissioner just straight up making fun of a team. Even if this wasn't the Padres, I would still have the same reaction of like, why are you talking bad about these teams? I don't understand it.
Yeah, that was a little unnecessary, but so was the hunk of metal as well. It was unnecessary as well.
I have one question for us right here. Brutus fan says, every time I watch Aztecs men's basketball on TV, they lose. Should I tune in tonight or trust the jinx?
I'm going to say trust the jinx tonight.
Okay.
Don't watch. Listen, I have had to resort to similar tactics.
Yeah.
You've
been doing no action
on the Lakers for the
last
my luck
bit.
ran out last night, but that was because they ran into stupid Denver. Of course, I get a text or I get a tweet from our guy Will Galvis, who is
he is a
Nugget fan.
Yep.
I didn't really like that very much.
Well, at least he actually can get a championship because all of his other teams are just bad all the time. So I hope you're listening, Will. I really hope you're listening right now.
All right, let's get to break. More Gwynn and Chris. We'll try to figure out what to talk about when we come back.
Sammy Lev.
Oh, Sammy coming to join us?
Sammy Lev is coming to join us.
You guys are in luck. Sammy Lev, the great, when we return. You know, Matt Skraby does a great job producing this show and getting us some fine guests from time to time. Our next guest, however, this is a big get. Sam Levitt, Padres, everything here for the 97.3 The Fan. Sam Levitt joins us. He's headed out to AZ tomorrow. Stuff gets real for him. Sam, how are you, my man?
Tony, Skraby, I'm doing well. I got to say, I really enjoyed the Tie 10 Skraby special yesterday. And I'll tell you what, it was the talk of San Diego. I stopped in at coffee shops. I stopped in at bars. I stopped in at any establishment you could find. And everybody was saying that 2024, Tony, I don't know if you know this, is the year of Skraby. I coined it.
He
the year
did.
of Skraby.
He did.
Very early on. Or actually, Skraby, did I say that before
I think
the new year?
Yeah, I think it was right before the new year because we went out together as the final show of 2023.
Right,
and he said 2024 is the year of Skraby. And he tweeted it. It got like 1 like. So
I bet
it's all good.
You
it's
see,
all
the
good.
beautiful thing about X now is, I mean, you can always go back and find that tweet and, repost it. You can pin it.
And tell me where I'm wrong. Here's what's happened to Skraby so far in 2024. The debut of the Skraby show.
Mm-hmm.
The massive success, the viral sensation of the Thai food yesterday. And then on top of that, look at him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's looking great. He's dropped like, what is it, Skraby? 35, 40 pounds?
It's nearing 40, yes.
Oh, I mean, year of Skraby 2024.
Hey,
I was on it.
It's an excellent prediction, as you tend to do, I might say, Sam. And you're on point with this. I mean, he's half of himself. He's reached popularity that I don't know.
Okay, can we move on from
I'm just saying,
please?
man, it is year of the Skraby. By the way, shout out to all our listeners for making yesterday's event, so popular. It does seem like it was taken well across the city. So thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Go ahead, Skraby.
If you want to see Sam Levitt, he's joining us on the cameras as well. So he will be on the air and on your screen.
Yes, this is it's a good test of the broadcast equipment that I'm traveling with to Peoria. They gave me a new unit for this season.
Oh, whoa. You got a new unit?
Well, it's not a new unit. It's just a larger version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not like new. No, I don't think it's new.
I'm sure enough
but
was
it's new
about to
me.
go in there and ask for a new unit.
No.
I'm headed out to Arizona next week. I would like a new unit too.
No, it's not a new unit.
Okay.
In fact, I think it's a fairly old version of what we use now. But it works. It works really well.
That sounds about
so
right.
This was a good test for my new equipment. Thus why I'm on. I sound so clear.
Your headset is sweet.
I was about to say, man, yeah, you do sound super clear. Now, I got to ask you, you're headed out tomorrow.
Yes.
Which route do you go? Do you take the 8 or do you take the 10?
I take.
He's looking around like I have no idea.
Well, I don't. I take whatever route.
Do you go out?
I go up through Alpine.
Okay, yeah. So you take the 8. You take the 8.
Okay, and then I drop down into the desert, and then you're along there. You go through Yuma.
Yep. You get out of Gila Bend, and then you hop on the 10 from there.
Right. So I take that route. Sorry.
All right. No, all good.
I just follow my GPS.
You're still relatively new to the California the interstate system, so it's all good. I'm not.
It's. I'll tell you what. The first time I did that drive, San Diego to Phoenix, was last year, and it was gorgeous. I mean, getting up into Alpine and it was very lush, a lot of green up there this time of year. It had rained a lot before we went out there, and then you're in the mountains, and then you drop down. I see Tony's reaction.
I know.
It was nice.
I don't know.
I thought it was a nice drive.
I don't know that I've ever heard lush.
No,
as it pertains to that drive.
Well, up in Alpine, as the elevation rises, it was
okay.
It was green.
You know what? Last year especially, and I'm sure probably this year, considering how much rain we've got here in the last couple weeks, it was greener than it normally is going through there.
I enjoy the drive too.
I don't like that drive very much.
How many times have you actually done it?
I've driven it
right
a lot.
How many times? Like
I can't
20.
I wish it was just 20.
Okay, all right. I'll stop pushing on this because you've
lot.
driven it a little bit more. Like I've driven to San Francisco maybe 100 times, and that drive is very boring.
Now, see, I have a hard time. I mean, you driving through some nice spots going to San Francisco, right?
Where? Like Bakersfield?
Touché.
Sorry to Bakersfield people out there. I just pulled a random middle of California city out of my hat.
All right, Sam, you're headed to spring training tomorrow. I mean, anything different this year? What's your living situation in Arizona this year? You close to the stadium? Because that's usually a must for me. I got to be close to the stadium.
Well, I am farther, actually significantly farther from the stadium. Last year I was close. The room, the living situation was not great last year. Now I did it, no complaints. I did not complain much about it. I got through the 7 weeks or whatever it was. This year we got Airbnb, but we're like 20 minutes away. So
you
sacrifice a little farther
distance for comfort.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. And it looks good. I'm looking forward to it. So a little bit farther, which is okay too, because some of the quote unquote away games will be down in Glendale or Surprise or wherever it is, so it'll make it easier, I think, to get back after those. But yes, I sacrificed the drive time for maybe the quality. I'm feeling good about that decision. Tony, when I see you in Arizona, I will have a full report on how I'm doing. But I don't know, 15-20 minutes back and forth didn't seem very far to me, although we do get started so early that last year, like it did help to be really close. So the jury is out on what I sacrificed for the Airbnb.
It's funny, when I was playing, and it made more sense for me to like rent a place that was a little further away to have comfort. As I like went through my career, the older I got, the more I was like, man, I'd much rather be closer. I got to be here at like 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. I would like that extra 35, 40 minutes of sleep if I can snatch it.
That's a long time.
Yeah. And it's funny, Sam was saying how he didn't complain. He made it through. I could tell you the absolute truth. By week 7 last year, my man Sam was hanging on by a thread. When my man walked into the clubhouse every morning, you could just see it on his face. It was like, and at one point I was like, "You ready to go home, huh?" He was like, I can't wait to get out of here."
It's funny. There was actually, so when we first got there last year, I was joking with some people in the clubhouse and whatever throughout the complex. I mean, I was loving it, and it was great. I was having a great time. I was energetic. I was like, "This is great." You got all this baseball stuff. It's fun. It's relaxed. It's all the things you really like about spring training. And you would come up to me at one point, and some other people came up to me at one point, I think around week 5, week 6.
Yep.
And they were like, "Man, you've just got kind of this glazed over look on your face. I mean, are you okay?" I'm like, it's getting to me. It's getting to me. Now, I think the living situation was part of that. There's no doubt, Tony, I was feeling it. I was really, really feeling it. And I think compared to when we first got there in the first few weeks, it was very, very obvious. Hey, the shorter spring training, I think, is gonna
definitely
really
will benefit.
Cure that.
Just so you know, don't feel bad. All of us feel the same way. Like
yes.
we get there, the first 2 weeks are just like, it's like a kid in a candy store. And
hey, what's going on?
Right.
Hey,
it's like the first day of school. Like you meeting everybody.
How was your off season?
Yeah, exactly, right? And then like by week 3, it's like Groundhog Day.
Like you again?
Like, oh gosh. I gotta stand here for this scrum. Is it gonna start? Oh, okay, here we go. Let's go, guys. And you kind of get into your day. Sam, your expectations this year, man. The Padres obviously coming off of a really tough season last year. Didn't reach the expectation level. They come in, at least as of February 9th, with a roster that feels a little incomplete still, but what are your expectations going into the year for this ball club?
Well, I think it's really hard to project right now because there's so much unknown. I mean, I think when I compare it to last spring training, last spring training, there was so much hype, but there wasn't a lot of baseball questions to be answered. There really wasn't. I mean, we knew what the team would look like. We pretty much knew where everybody was playing, and it was just about how all the pieces would fit together. This year is so different
Yeah.
for so many reasons. There are so many questions. There are so many new elements to the team, and obviously with a new manager and Mike Schultz as well. So, it's hard to project. I mean, I think even right now, knowing what we know about this roster, I think this being a wild card team is a very realistic expectation based on the core they have, the talent they have, what parts of their offense could do, what their bullpen could be, what the top of their rotation could be. But obviously after that, and it sounds crazy to say because we're literally 48 hours away from the start of spring training, but I just don't know how you can really project anything when you don't have a concrete answer for who's playing center, who's playing left, who's DHing. And then with your 4 and 5 starter spots, you don't truly know right now what exactly those look like. I mean, you have certainly an idea of who makes them up, what that group looks like right now, but you don't know how that all shakes out. So I think it's hard to project. But with that said, when you look at the core and quite frankly, just baseball in 2024 and what it takes to be a wild card team, I do think even right now that is a very fair and realistic expectation for a fan base, for this team. And obviously there are a lot of questions to be answered, but it's a very different, feel to the start of spring training just because of, the trade of Soto and having a new manager and all of it, but also when you have all these questions. So look, I think from a baseball perspective, this spring training is honestly far more interesting than last year's was. It really will be, because there are just key spots where you don't know what it's going to look like on opening day.
Yeah, certainly make our jobs easier, like doing these shows after the game, because there will actually be, like, I just think back to not last year, but 2 years ago, there were a few roster spots and competitions that, you could lock in on, and they were like competitions throughout the course of spring training. Whereas last year, the only competition was for the bench spots and a few one rotation spot, a couple bullpen spots, which for rotation and starting pitching spots, you really can't cover them all the time because they're not going to pitch all the time. And for the position players, that only popped up because a lot of guys went off to the World Baseball Classic. Right. So it will be a lot more interesting this year in terms of trying to figure out who's going to be where.
Yeah, and there's so much that could still happen. Like, yes, I think for the time being, unless new faces are inside that clubhouse, we are going to spend a lot of time in the first couple of weeks talking about center field and left field and DH, quite frankly, in particular. I mean, I think one of the key questions entering Sunday when pitchers and catchers report is, okay, you have, let's take an example, somebody like Jackson Merrill, who right now, if the plan is to put him in left field and play him out there, I would assume would be probably a leader in the clubhouse to be a starting left fielder, unless you're going to take somebody else, whether it's one of these guys that you've brought in that's more of a AAA, maybe major league type player, and play him there. So look, I just think right now there's so much unknown. There's unknown of who else can they bring in. I mean, look, I would not put it out of the question that there's a new face or two inside this clubhouse at some point in spring training. Significant guys who could start in center field, start in left field, be a DH every day. But until we see that signing or that trade, whatever it is, you can't operate, based on a move that hasn't yet been made. So it's an interesting scenario, because if that move isn't made, then you're looking at a scenario where it's, either a non-roster invite, somebody like that, or one of your significant prospects like a Jackson Merrill getting a huge opportunity with not a ton of experience playing the outfield or at AA. So it's really hard to project right now. And but I think from just the spring training perspective, it makes it certainly a more fascinating few weeks. But as far as the move, like to be honest with you guys, I still would be surprised if we get to opening day and this team heading to Korea and there's not a move made. It just seems like there's too much to fill for there not to be a move made, even if that's just, signing a guy, an example like a Jerkson Profar, right? It feels like there's got to be a move somewhere or two. And look, the reason I still believe that's a real possibility is just look at the market. I mean, you've got Snell, Montgomery, Bellinger, JD Martinez. I mean, those names and many more who still aren't with the team. And we're days away from every team reporting to spring training. So there's a lot of unknown, and I think there's a lot that could happen. And until, we see some new faces in that clubhouse that we don't have right now, I think you're going to focus on, okay, well, what are the options for all these different blank spaces in the lineup? So for all those reasons, I know a rambling answer, but fascinating, I think, and from a baseball perspective, more fascinating than last year even.
Talking to Sam Levitt here, Padres radio pre and post host, and I like that, Sam. You just dropped a Taylor Swift reference. I know you did. Blank spaces is definitely a Taylor Swift reference, and we know you love Taylor Swift.
It's in the lexicon.
I do like Taylor Swift. I am rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 58.
Yes.
For a couple of reasons. And it's not, one of the reasons is not that I'm just going against Skraby. Number one,
it's my main reason.
I like greatness. Okay. I like the idea of Patrick Mahomes winning a third before he turns 30. I like the idea of Travis Kelce and Andy Reid getting another. And I will admit, I like, when we talk about greatness, Taylor Swift is right in that category. Okay. So I like the idea of this being kind of the end of the story of this season. I like the idea that she's coming from Tokyo to make the Super Bowl, and then we'll be on the field with Travis Kelce, embracing after they win. I like it. And for all these people that complain and post about them showing Taylor Swift on the broadcast, it makes me want them to show her more because people keep complaining. Get over it. I am rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they will win. And Skraby, if they don't, I guess the consolation prize is that you will be a very happy man.
Thank you.
So I guess we win either way.
One thing I've learned about Sam over the years is that he is the opposite of what I am, a hater. He likes when these big stories happen.
That's not true. That's not true.
Okay, you might be a hater in certain things
sometimes,
but for the most part, when I say, Sam, doesn't this annoy you? You're like, no, it's actually kind of cool. And I'm like, that just annoys me that Taylor Swift is on TV.
Your hate is on a whole nother level. So
not anymore.
Not everybody can reach that type of.
I got one real quick question for Sam.
Yes.
Is the only reason you're cheering for the Chiefs because of Taylor Swift?
No, he just said he liked greatness.
Well, then at the end, he was like, and I like the greatness of Taylor Swift.
It's all connected.
Let's be honest. She falls in that category too. Absolutely. I mean, I have not been to one of the concerts on this tour. I may be going to one in Canada all the way next winter. We'll see. It's a long way away, but I do have a ticket as of right now.
I mean, that's how long you got to plan it out if you're going to go to it.
Yes, absolutely. So, look at this tour. Look at all this. I know she's not everybody's favorite, but I think you've got to appreciate Taylor Swift and what she's done. And keep in mind, this is somebody that was on the radio when I was like 15.
That's true.
And I mean, a decade and a half later, like, she's at the apex of her powers. I mean, greatness. The Chiefs, Taylor Swift. I think it's going to happen.
They go hand in hand, Scrape.
I wish I never texted Sam to come on the show today.
Sam, safe travels tomorrow, man. I will see you in Arizona.
We'll be talking soon too.
Oh, that's right. We'll have your report. So we'll catch up soon, man. Thanks.
Sounds good. We're going to have a lot of good content online, radio, all of it starting on Sunday. Don't miss it.
I would expect nothing less. Thank you, Sam.
All
Sam
right.
Levitt, Gwynn and Chris to break. Daily Gambit on the other side. It's just me and Skraby. Hang with us. More Gwynn and Chris on the way. Into the 3 o'clock hour, we roll. Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby, with you guys till 6 o'clock. Saw a little deal on Bleacher Report. Padres Red Sox held talks between Padres and Red Sox held some trade discussions over. I believe his name is Jansen, right?
Jaron
Duran.
Yes, Jaron Duran.
Center or outfielder for the Red Sox. I believe he was 1 for 12 in the series against the Padres, but he finished the year hitting .295.
He's a dirtbag.
He's a Long Beach State dirtbag.
He's from this area. He was born in Corona. He's 27 years old. He bats left. He's got
the party on the left side of his arm, business on the right, all business on the right side.
He's got a sleeve on the left side? I did not know that.
Yes, he does.
I like how you say party like it's a mullet or something. But this is a guy that the Padres, this is like a prototypical guy that they need right now. A lefty that plays center field that's cheap.
Prototypical, guy that they need.
I couldn't think of another word, but this is who they're looking for.
I assume he's controllable, meaning, you get to pay him for cheap for a little bit. Yeah, we'll see, how far. John Heyman of the New York Post reported Thursday that the Red Sox continue to field offers on Jansen and the Padres, and guess who are potentially landing spots?
Dodgers.
Yes, of course.
Do you see how I'm just annoyed by that? Dodgers. Last year he made $720,000. So this is a guy.
That's a league minimum.
Yeah.
John Morosi also reported LA's potential interest in a reunion with veteran closer. That would be Kenley Jansen. So we'll see where the Padres go. I think, much like Sam does, there's going to be a move made. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's going to be a free agent sign, if it's going to be a trade, but I just can't wrap my mind around it just staying the way it is.
Well, Dennis Lynn put out something this morning, and it was about kind of going into spring training and what they're going to do, because they officially signed Wandy Peralta, as you said last hour, but he had talked to AJ Preller and was kind of like, hey, you're going into spring training, you need some more pieces. What's the deal? And AJ Preller said that he's not going to make a trade just to make a trade. He's going to do it for a fit. And he likes the options. I'm summarizing. He likes the options that he has in house, and he wants to get a look at that. So
what does that mean? I would say that
you want me to read his quote?
Yeah, go. Give me your quote.
All right. So he said, we're still actively talking to different players, outfield starting pitching options, as well as pen type possibilities. But maybe it's something, too, where you get into spring training and you're constantly looking to improve your team throughout the season. If we don't find something we line up on, we're not just going to try and make a move just to make a move. We feel like we have a group of pitchers and position players that we're going to give opportunity to. And we have some younger guys as well that have come through the system that we feel good about and we think are going to show well in camp and are going to be prepared to play in the big leagues this year. So we're just weighing all that out. We're always looking to improve, but we're not going to force something just to make a move.
I think that's as it pertains to pitching.
Just pitching.
I do. I keep seeing Tommy Pham's name out there, and it keeps making more and more sense as the days go by.
Yeah.
It
does.
At worst, you could move him at the deadline if he's having a terrific year and the team's not playing to the expectation level, and clearly get something for him.
Mm-hmm.
But, to AJ's point, and he knows these guys in the organization better than anybody. If he feels comfortable with the guys they have, then maybe there isn't a move coming. We'll see. Certainly something to keep an eye on. All right, let's talk a little Daily Gambit.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo!
If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly out there. Let me check in on the Waste Management Phoenix Open real quick, because Charlie Hoffman was playing really well, and he was in the top 5. And I'm checking to see where
When
he
we
is
were coming
now.
back-
Oh, he's top 8 now. Or I mean, but that means
Go
let me
ahead,
see.
Charlie.
He's actually down. He's a stroke better than when I saw last. I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
I don't either.
He's 6 under now. He was
Okay.
5 under when I looked before.
He's one stroke better.
But then the leaders went up, and so that's why he went down. It was very confusing to myself and everybody else.
No,
So,
just yourself.
Charlie
don't
is
bring us in on it.
he's 6 under for the tournament right now.
Skraby and I coming back from the commercial break had to see what I can only be described as one of the best worst fantasy football punishments ever.
Yes.
My man had a tall can in his right hand.
He totally Modelo.
And had to rock a wedding dress.
He did.
And it was, I mean, I'm talking about the whole thing, like dragging in the mud behind him, and he was rocking it too. I mean, short sleeves. Looked like he had a party on one side too.
He did, yeah. That punishment itself wasn't too bad. I mean, I don't think that's terrible. I would go walk around a
Have
golf.
you been to waste management before?
No, but I guess you're right. There's a lot of heckling, I'm sure.
Not just heckling. There's a lot of drinking going on there.
Yes, I'm sure of that.
It's virtually a party on the course.
Oh, it is.
And so I imagine, and thankfully this year it looks a little cool. It's not too hot. So
yeah, true.
He's not sweating profusely in that wedding dress, but that's a good punishment though.
It is a good punishment. I would much rather do that than do the 5K that I was going to have to do, but they forgot to make me dress up in a costume because they were telling me I was going to be in a Speedo, and I was like, no. I will leave the league before.
That's a visual right there.
Do they call it eye wash? Is that what mud and I don't know what actually eye wash means, but I hear them say it
I don't
all
think
the time.
eye wash fits that. Eye wash is like fake hustle.
Okay. All right. So strike that from the record. Let's go to the bets that we did yesterday. And then I have some of the weirdest bets of the Super Bowl since we've already done our Super Bowl betting. South Carolina, the Lady Gamecocks were playing against Missouri. The South Carolina team is really good, and they were favored by 31.5 points. South Carolina actually did end up winning, and they won with enough. 83-45. Sometimes I put it on the other sheet.
They won with enough.
See, I'll tell everybody what I'm doing there. I forget that I'm putting the results on the sheet from yesterday because I have to go copy and paste all the bets over, and so then I don't have them when I go here live.
And that's how you get they won with enough.
You hear me dancing. Then we had Arizona 5.5 point favorites over Utah last night. You guys chose Utah. I chose Arizona, and Arizona won 105.99. So I win that bet barely by half point. USF, the Dons were playing Pepperdine. The Dons were 9.5 point favorites. Tony and I chose the Dons. Chris chose Pepperdine, and the Dons won, but only by 6, 80-74.
Two better Dons.
The Denver Nuggets, the Nuggies, 3.5 point favorites yesterday against the Lakers. Chris and I chose the Lakers because there was no way ever that the Lakers could lose on Kobe Bryant statue night, but they did. Tony went no action, and it didn't help him this time. Nuggets won 114-106.
They're making me start to despise them.
Despise? Is that right?
I'm really never once have I ever paid any attention to the Nuggets until now. Like, they are really getting under my skin.
Okay.
And I think it's because the Lakers can't beat them.
The Lakers, well, yeah, that is true. I mean, Anthony Davis can't guard him.
Nobody can guard that dude. Have you watched him?
I have watched him.
He is the slowest, most unathletic basketball player ever, but you can't stop him.
Because he's huge.
He's huge. He's crafty. He's smart. He's a whole lot of things that make him a two-time MVP.
Yeah. Well, the next bet that we had was who was going to score more in the game with the Mavs and the Knicks, Doncic or Brunson, over under 33.5 points. Who scored more? Well, we all chose Luka. Luka had 39 points. Brunson.
He did not have 40.
Had no points. Apparently, he didn't play in the game. So we're off the hook there.
You set that up. I thought that was
I
had 45.
45. Okay, here are some of the weirdest bets in the Super Bowl. And this one, Tony, I think is the weirdest one I think we've ever heard. There's a bet out there that is making you guess whether or not there's going to be an alien invasion during the game that forces the game into a tie. I'm not kidding. That is a bet out there.
And people are taking it?
Some people are taking it,
Wow.
yes. I don't know how you even put a penny on that. But if there was going to be an alien invasion, Las Vegas Super Bowl would be it. Maybe the government knows something, and this is just kind of warning us a little bit, Tony.
That's silly.
Okay. Jacob, we've done the Gatorade color. I think I said no Gatorade. Chris said purple.
I think I had orange.
You had orange, yes. How long will it take Reba McEntire to sing the national anthem?
Oh, this is a MLB favorite for bench players.
For how long they're going to take?
How long the anthem will last.
And what do you guys usually say? Do you know who? I mean, I guess you can hear the person practicing.
Well, you know, I don't know if it's the same anymore because the Padres seem to have different people singing often. But like when I was in Milwaukee, you kind of got a sense of hearing people do the anthem, so you had a good idea.
Okay.
A quick anthem is like it's like 110.
So that is 70 seconds.
But you can get into like the 2-minute mark if somebody's trying to get on American Idol.
Yeah, you can, and I recommend you don't because you lose people.
You definitely lose.
You can't lose people because everybody wants to be respectful. It's the national anthem, but everybody also wants to sit down.
Right, 100%.
So her over/under is 90.5 seconds, so a minute and a half.
That's probably about standard right there. Minute and a half.
I don't know.
I can't.
I think it's kind of weird that I didn't know that Reba McEntire was even still.
She's a country singer, right?
Yeah, and she had a TV show for a little bit.
Is she on Idol? She's on one of them shows. I think she just joined.
Okay, well, I probably shouldn't have talked about Reba McEntire without knowing my Reba McEntire facts.
Good. You didn't say anything bad. You just didn't.
I know. Will a player achieve an octopus in the game, which is a touchdown and a 2-point conversion by the same player?
Could be Christian McCaffrey.
It could be. Last year, Jalen Hurts did it. Rushing touchdown. And then what is that thing called? The Philly, the tush push or brotherly shove is what they call it. Will any player propose to his girlfriend on the field after the game? No. It's not. You're thinking it's not going to be Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift?
No, that would be special right there.
I
don't think that's going to happen.
I went down a rabbit hole last night.
That doesn't seem like either of their styles.
It doesn't. You're right. That's too much fanfare, but it's too big of a moment for them not to do in public.
See,
if you're going to take if you're going to be famous like this,
if you're going to be famous,
you need to take advantage of these moments. You have to time it right.
No, you don't.
Yes, because can you imagine?
Let me ask you a question. How many big time celebrities have you seen their engagement live in person?
Ooh, you're asking the wrong guy, but none.
No, I haven't either. I haven't either.
Okay.
I think there's a reason behind it.
Okay.
So I don't think it's gonna happen.
So because they'd rather do it in private.
They'd rather, yeah. I mean, that's like a spontaneous thing.
Oh, Eric in the chat says Kittle or McCaffrey will propose. I can see it. But Christian McCaffrey's already proposed because he's got a fiance, but I think George Kittle has a wife too. So never mind. I shouldn't have read that. The last one. Will there be a second shirtless Jason Kelce sighting?
I think we got a better shot of seeing George Kittle shirtless than we do Travis Kelce.
Really? You think that?
I do.
Okay.
I don't know why. He seems like more of a taking my shirt off after this game type of guy.
Oh, yeah, I can see that too. But I don't know that's like NFL legal.
Take your shirt off after the game?
Yeah, I think they want you to be wearing clothes when you are on the podium.
Well, he's not going to.
He wasn't a part of the game. Oh, yeah. I thought you just said Kittle.
I thought you were talking about you saying Jason Kelce.
Yeah, the brother.
I heard Kelce.
Yeah,
immediately
no problem.
went to Travis.
Yeah.
No, there's a good chance you'll see with his shirt off.
There definitely is a good chance.
He seems like he likes to take his shirt off.
He does seem like that guy. I've always been a husky gentleman, and I never took off my shirt ever.
No, Jason doesn't seem like, unlike you, who cares immensely about what everybody else thinks.
Yeah,
Jason doesn't seem like he cares at all what anybody else thinks.
Jacob says Jason's taking his shirt off in the first quarter.
I wouldn't. That's what. After I heard Jason, it's a change of Change my answer.
Here's some other ridiculous ones real quick. First Vegas landmark shown. The odds-on favorite is the Sphere. I can't say that word correctly. Sphere.
I think it's going to be the Bellagio fountains.
Ooh, that is a choice. Also, the Luxor Pyramid. I'm sorry, I don't think that's happening.
That hasn't been like the first sight since
Yeah.
like the 90s.
The Eiffel Tower at Paris. Nah. Mirage Volcano. That is kind of cool, but no. I think it's either going to be the Sphere or it's going to be the Bellagio
Yeah, I
fountains.
agree.
You're absolutely
One of those
right
two.
there.
Kudos, real quick. Kudos
yeah.
to your 49ers, man. Bang Bang Niner gang.
Oh, I know what you're about to do.
They're flying out over 800 full-time staff, interns, family, and friends to the Super Bowl. 800. That's big time.
That is a lot.
That's
of
a
people.
lot. That's awesome. They got pictures of the Bang Bang Niner gang all on the plane. They look like they are having a blast.
I would assume so, and I would hope that the 49ers like just give them the week off or something if they win the Super Bowl.
That's crazy. Just bought the whole plane. Like we're just gonna fly everybody out.
You know what? That's kind of nice actually, because usually it's like, hey, we're gonna get you there, but you have to get back or something. I could see a team. Oh, the A's. Can you imagine the A's? The A's would like make them walk there. Give them no lodging money.
This wouldn't even be in consideration if it was the case.
This is very true.
This is not happening.
This is very true.
All right, that's our daily gambit for today. Let's step away. Let's get to break. When we come back, Skraby and I talk a little bit about some streaming. It just keeps getting worse and worse for Chris.
Yes, it does.
More Gwynn and Chris on the way. Here's a
Back here in the Odyssey Palace.
The
Here
Audi?
in the Odyssey Palace. 97.3 The Fan. Tony Gwynn Jr., I'm Matt Skraby. Chris Ello is traveling with the Aztecs women's basketball team. He will be back on Monday. And we got a couple things we want to talk about in this segment. First, we're going to talk about Tony and his fandom of the Lakers. So for everybody who doesn't get to see Tony during the break, I have to explain this to you because Tony is very level-headed about everything sports except for the Lakers. And so during the break, he came over and he showed me the play that broke his heart last night. And he just walked away kind of muttering under his own breath, just kind of like, I almost threw something at the TV.
I did. I almost pulled a Dallas Cowboy fan deal. You know, you see the videos going around after they break Cowboys fans' hearts every year.
Yeah.
Somebody like smashing their big screen or throwing it off, taking it off the wall.
Yes.
There was a play last night. Jokic has the ball maybe a foot away from the free throw line. He's got his back turned towards, let's just say, we'll call it the right corner. And he's, got his back turned towards it. Austin Reeves is behind him. Mind you, Joker can't see anything. He only knows of the one defender on his back. Reeves sneaks up behind and goes for the steal. And as he sticks his arm in to knock the ball away, Jokic picks his arms up, pivots, and turns and throws the ball exactly where Reeves just led from.
It was pretty incredible.
And I promise you, if you go back and look at this play, there's no way he could see him. No way at all. It's just pure instincts. Why he's a back-to-back MVP.
Yeah.
And it was the dagger. It was the three-pointer that put the game out of reach. And it was just, there was a moment, there was a second where I had the remote in my hand and I started to throw it. But then I wouldn't have been able to live with myself if I actually broke my own TV.
This
So
makes me feel so much better about myself.
I put it down and just turned off TV. I didn't watch the rest of the 55 seconds at that point.
Well, what's the point?
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Wow, that is crazy. That's usually how I feel after I get beaten Madden or something. I really do sometimes want to throw the remote when some guy hits CD Lamb for another 80-yard bomb.
Video game rage.
Oh, there's most definitely video game rage from me.
I have caught my wall, my room, my I guess game room is close is the next room over is my son's room.
Ah.
And I can hear him in there video raging.
Really?
Like full-on conversations with himself as he's getting scored on.
What does he say? Like, oh, you stink.
You can just hear him doing all that. And I have to walk in there and check him sometimes. Like, hey, man, you better learn how to control yourself or we're going to have to take this game away.
Oh.
But, video game rage is real.
Oh, it's real. It's 100% real. Big game coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by Solo Stove. Feel the heat of the world's most popular smokeless fire pit. Visit them today at solostove.com. We're going to get to that news of streaming here in just a second, but we asked you to ask us some questions, Tony.
Real
yes.
Quick. I see in the next segment, we have a good, bad, and the ugly of week 5.
That was me not removing it prior to the show.
I was about to say, is there a week 5 that I'm unaware of at this point?
Yeah, that's a little bit old. Okay. I should take that out right now. There you go. It's gone. You won't see that anymore.
Just wanted to make
sure. The reason that happens is because sometimes I need to create a new doc and I do it on the wrong thing and then I create it and then I duplicate it like for the entire month. And so there's big, good, bad, ugly of big week 5 for the entire month that I have to erase.
Gotcha.
All right. So we asked you to ask us some questions or comments, and we were talking about someone double dipping the chip. Wolfpack says, mine pet peeve is when someone takes the guac spoon and puts it in the salsa bowl.
Yeah, come on, man. Don't do
mix.
that.
Can't mix. I don't know why you're doing that, people.
That's a party foul right there.
Yeah, that's most definitely a party foul.
Don't want the guacamole mixed with the salsa. Like, if you want to do that on your own plate, have at it. But don't use the community guacamole spoon and put it in the salsa. Man.
Same goes for anything dipped in sour cream because it leaves remnants.
They all should have separate spoons to do what you need to do.
Yeah. Jocelyn says, mine is when you dip the lumpia. Lumpia is very good. Lumpia in the sauce, take a bite, then you dip it in the sauce again, and it gets crumbles of the wrapper and the inside of the lumpia in the sauce.
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
Chris lumpia lovers. That's a pet peeve. You take that first bite, there are going to be some crunchies that are loose.
some crunchy.
And so when you go back in, and this is why, flipping it over to the other side.
yeah. But then you got the finger. What was it? The finger.
You got to
liquids?
give somewhere. You want crumbs that could have been in your mouth, or maybe some fingerprints.
Last one before we get to the streaming news. Rob is asking Skraby, what jersey are you rocking this Sunday? If you are a jersey guy. Good question, Rob. I am not really a jersey guy, but I do have one jersey, and we haven't talked about it yet. But my guy, Patrick Willis, was inducted into the Hall of Fame last night. Incredible that he did. He had 5 All-Pro seasons in 8 total years.
And he was a dog
in the NFL.
He was a dog.
He was crazy. That's why I loved him. He was just like all over the place. He was kind of that linebacker that was the most athletic linebacker on the field before those guys were showing up everywhere.
I mean, he was what's my man's name who's there now from here?
Fred Warner.
He was Fred Warner before Fred Warner.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And he was a good guy. He was a great teammate, and he was with the team throughout those
He was
Jim
one
Harbaugh
of, he
years.
was one of the first string of retirements of guys. Like there was like
Going
a
early.
string of retirements of about 4 guys that retired early. He was like the first. I
Yep.
remember like thinking there's no way he's going to stay retired. This dude is like 8 seasons in. He got a lot of football left.
He does, and he just
Now he's just doing, regular people stuff too.
yeah,
right?
he's like got a marketing job.
good
I follow him on Instagram.
That's awesome.
He goes on, so good for him. But yes, I will be wearing my Patrick Willis jersey this weekend because he got inducted. That's a good omen for the 49ers.
I don't know about that.
Antonio Gates didn't get in, which is kind of crazy. We could talk about that later.
Crazy.
Julius Peppers did get in, which is crazy. Joe Flacco won comeback player of the year, which is insane.
I don't think it's that insane.
He only played. I got to know how many games he actually played.
Okay, that might help before you start going in on why he shouldn't have.
I'll tell you who I think should have been the winner.
Who?
Baker Mayfield. He was cast off his team last year, sent to the Rams. Actually, he did win a game without knowing the playbook. Goes to the Bucs, gets him in the playoffs. I know people are thinking DeMar Hamlin should have gotten it.
Listen, I was okay with him not winning. I know
You're like the only person.
I'm just saying. I get that. He came back from something that most of us. I mean, he was very fortunate to come back. Right? He died on the field. Literally.
He did.
So I get that. But typically, this award is given to somebody who may have been hurt the next season and performed well
Yeah.
the following season. For as great of a story as DeMar Hamlin was, he came back to play, but he didn't necessarily perform better than he did before.
He didn't dress every game too.
He didn't.
And I read something the other day that said he's looking to come back stronger next year because I got to imagine that everything he went through took a lot out of him.
Mentally, are you kidding me?
Physically,
like
emotionally.
He didn't do anything in that specific play that he hadn't done hundreds of times. Line up a tackle, make it. It just circumstance, perfect timing, basically, caused his heart to have the issue that it did.
Yeah.
And I imagine mentally, like, and you go in for a tackle, how are you not thinking about that?
You are. That's the answer. He so Joe Flacco won, and he only had 5 games that he played this year in the regular season.
He played pretty well.
Voting's different though.
How so?
Because you get a first, second, and third place vote, and I think the first place vote is 10, second place vote is 5 points, and then the third place vote is 3 points. So if you don't get, because DeMar Hamlin got the most first place votes, but he didn't get enough points to be in first place. I think total, like Joe Flacco had 150 and DeMar Hamlin had 140. And so even though DeMar Hamlin got the most first place votes, he didn't win.
He didn't have the most points.
He didn't have the most points, which I don't know how I feel about that. That's a
conversation
for another day.
I think DeMar Hamlin is a tremendous story, obviously, and maybe you have an argument that Flacco shouldn't have been it should have been Baker Mayfield, but I don't know that DeMar Hamlin did enough in terms of actually playing this year.
Yeah,
to warrant
I get it.
Winning the comeback player of the year.
I'm glad I didn't bet on him then for comeback player of the year.
It did seem like a sure thing though.
It did.
You got to pay off this Amazon.
Yes, here we go. Amazon now, we know that they carry Thursday night football, and we know
Friday night football,
Black Friday football, everyday football. And Chris is going to be really angry for one reason, because last year NBC had this year
Peacock game.
Yeah, the Peacock game, and everybody was upset because it was the exclusively streamed. It wasn't on cable. Well, now Amazon has been awarded the coveted streaming only playoff game for
So
the
if I'm not
NFL
mistaken, there
playoffs.
will now be 2 streamed only playoff games: Peacock and Amazon.
I don't
Was that
see,
just a 1-year deal?
I
for
think it was a
Peacock?
1-year deal because it says Amazon Prime Video will broadcast a wild card playoff game next season, the one that Peacock paid the rights to broadcast this postseason. So I think maybe Amazon got the call because they paid more or something like that. But we are going to continue the streaming thing. And Roger Goodell said the other day, someone asked him about streaming the Super Bowl, and he said basically, we love our cable partners and we're not going to do that. But then why are you doing these streaming things? Thursday Night Football is streamed exclusively.
Simple answer, buddy.
Money?
Ding, 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 ding.
I'm so tired of that being the excuse.
I know.
So tired of it being the excuse.
You're gonna be
I know.
you're gonna be sick and tired for a long time if you're gonna continue to be tired of
I
this.
texted Adam earlier today. I worry about things I shouldn't worry about.
Yes, so well said.
Yes, I'm very self-aware. I just can't do anything about it. All right, that's it for this segment as I'm spilling my life's guts. When we get back, the countdown, it's going to be top 5 kind of crazy but realistic Super Bowl predictions, and we'll explain when we get back on 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Woods.
Matt Skraby here for Gwynn and Chris, the Odyssey Palace, 97.3 The Fan. Tony is downstairs getting his jacket. It is freezing in here, as always. People ask us sometimes because we're on the cameras, like, why do you guys wear jackets even though it's warm outside? Well, because it's about 20 degrees cooler in here than it is anywhere else in the building. We have no idea why. And then in the winter, it's going to be extremely cold, like even more cold. And then the summer, when it's extremely hot, it doesn't kick in. It's the weirdest thing. I've talked about that a couple times. So I'm going to stall here real quick as Tony is getting back upstairs from getting his jacket from the car. We have the golf tournament going on in Phoenix. There's also that live tournament that's going to happen this weekend. But right now at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, there's two guys that are tied for the lead. Andrew Novak, 11 under. Nick Taylor, 11 under. Where did Charlie Hoffman go? Charlie Hoffman now has moved up to a tie for sixth. He is now 7 under through 15 holes. So Charlie Hoffman is 4 shots off the lead. And if you remember, Charlie Hoffman is sponsored by Waste Management. So maybe that's why he is able to play as well as he is right now, because that would be cool if he would win. I'm going to text him over the weekend if he wins, because that would be real fun to have him on the show. Anthony said that all that equipment gets hot. Yes, it does, but still, it feels like a refrigerator in here every single time. Rob says, any of you get football squares this year? Who got some good numbers? Good luck this year. Thank you, Rob. We actually did a football squares, Super Bowl squares thing here at work. Yesterday, we had, before the tie eating challenge, we had a chili cook-off between some of the people here at the station. So our engineer, JR, was kind of the one who spearheaded it. We had John Serio. He was the one who brought some chili. There was a couple of the salespeople brought some chili. Then there was one that says extremely spicy, and I did not have that in preparation for the meal yesterday. But we are trying here at Odyssey to have like some fun family style stuff, which is definitely always a good time to get to know all of your coworkers. All right. Well, let's go. And as Tony's coming back upstairs, I'm really hoping that he didn't lock himself out like he did a couple weeks ago, but we will figure that out together. Tune in to Kickoff with Boomer Esiason and Mike Valenti. Analysis from Boomer, picks from Mike. The biggest stories in the league packed into an hour. Tonight at 7 p.m. here on 97.3 The Fan, and always live on the free Odyssey app. Presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos, brought to you by those who drink it, and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. If you have any questions for us, please let us know through the chat. We'll do a little Ask Us Anything segment later. There's Tony. He is back. And with that, we're going to go to traffic and then the countdown.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Viejas Casino and Resort. Slick roadways around various parts of the county thanks to those good old scattered showers, so please take them into consideration before heading out. An accident on eastbound 905 just past Caliente. This has got the right lane blocked. We're saying this is a fatal accident. It was actually caused by somebody who hydroplaned to that flooded area. So something to definitely keep in mind. Eastbound 905, that is just past Caliente. You got to take it extra carefully out there. 2-vehicle accident northbound 5 before 6th Street. That is over the right shoulder. Viejas Casino and Resort is home to the best players club in My Viejas. Start earning points toward incredible rewards like free gifts, concert tickets, hotel stays, dining discounts, and more. It's time to ditch the other guys and join the best. The My Viejas Players Club, Viejas Casino and Resort. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's now time for Gwynn and Chris to rank their top 5 of the day.
Gonna grip and rip as usual.
But this isn't just a regular top 5 list.
I love it. It sounds sadistic, but I love it.
This is the countdown. And it starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
My fault, Scrape. I went down to get my hoodie and realized as I couldn't find it down in the car that it was actually next to me this whole time. So
yes. I love it.
Wasted energy.
Oh, that's okay. You got some exercise. You burned some calories. You got some steps. Next time you need to run up the stairs just to double it up.
My knees hurt too much to be running upstairs.
The countdown is we count down something each week, our top 5 of whatever it is. And this week we're going to do the top 5 could be true but ridiculous Super Bowl predictions, and you will understand as we go along. So I guess since I came up with the idea, and it's kind of confusing. I'll go first.
Number 5.
But here's what we're looking for. So in the Super Bowl, my number 5 maybe happening prediction is Patrick Mahomes throws 2 interceptions to Fred Warner. And if that happens, the 49ers win the game. So I'm thinking, because that's something that actually could happen, but is unlikely to happen. So that's the style of category we have here. But Patty Mahomes throwing 2 interceptions to our guy, Fred Warner. What's your number 5, Tony?
Just so you know, I spread out the love. I didn't just do exclusively good Chiefs stuffs or bad 49ers
Oh, thank
stuff.
you. I didn't do that, but there you go. What's your number 5?
Chiefs defense puts up a shutout against the 49ers
Wait.
in Super Bowl 58.
The 49ers are going to score 0 points.
Hey, unlikely, but could happen.
You're right.
I think, first of all, the Chiefs defense is their strongest part of this team. I know they got Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and, the rest of the cast and crew, but the defense is what they've hung their hat on. Now, I think it's highly, highly unlikely that they really can stop the 49ers for the entire game.
The entire game, yeah.
But they're going to be it's going to be a tough. I think it's going to be tough for the Niners offensively.
If they don't score a point, I'm not coming to work on Monday because that is more depressing than just losing the game in general. Like I would rather lose the game by putting up 21 points and losing by 30 than losing with no points on the board.
I heard Ryan Clark actually say that he would much rather get beat anytime before the Super Bowl because it is that difficult to deal with that loss compared to the other ones. Like he said, at least, I lose in round 1 or I don't make the playoffs. I get to go on vacation. Like you go to the Super Bowl, you get that far and then lose.
Something
he says it's really hard to get over.
That's an interesting point from him because I can only imagine losing that big game.
Number 4.
All right, my number 4 prediction that could happen but is unlikely. Travis Kelce only has 2 catches in the game for 12 yards.
That's so far. That's probably the most likeliest of unlikely scenarios.
Yeah.
Can see him. I can see a scenario in which he only has 2 catches, maybe not 12 yards, but
I really
catches.
think the 49ers defense needs to keep him in check. Obviously, if any team doesn't keep him in check, they lose. So that's the key to losing is letting Travis Kelce do what he wants.
This next one would be like a stake in the heart to the nation right here.
Oh my gosh.
Travis Kelce with the touchdown trifecta.
What?
Throws for 1, runs for 1, catches 1. And I only say that because, with every touchdown that he has, Miss Taylor Swift will get more airtime.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about it.
And if he has a trifecta, it's even more time she's going to get on.
So we're trying to manipulate it for our own betting purposes. I see what you're doing.
Just saying. The Travis Kelce trifecta.
Again.
Touchdown trifecta.
Unlikely, but definitely could happen.
Number 3.
If he's running for 1 and throwing for 1, it's a long day for the Niners. Already like the fact that he's in position to throw for 1 seems like it might be a long day.
Number 3 is Brock Purdy does not get sacked. And if he doesn't get sacked, I think that's pretty good news for the offense. Once he goes down a couple times, I feel like he feels the footsteps, he feels the pressure, and he becomes Jimmy G happy feet. So
he does.
Brock Purdy does not get sacked in this game.
Move his feet, Chiefs. Get his feet. Number 3.
He might be better on the move.
No. I mean, move his feet. Like, get those happy feet going.
Oh, I see. All right.
Don't let that,
Number 2.
Don't let that pocket sit. This is 3, right?
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey is held to negative yardage in the entire game.
Negative yardage.
Negative.
You better hope he gets a -1 yard carry and then has like a stomach ache and has to leave the game or something.
Again, very unlikely, but likely. If it could happen, though, I mean,
that's the most unlikely one you've ever said.
I would concur.
Okay.
Number 2.
I don't even know if this guy's playing in the game, but my number 2, unlikely, but may happen in the Super Bowl. Kadarius Toney fumbles twice.
You can't even get this man a touchdown. He's got a fumble twice.
Why would I give him a touchdown?
I'm just saying his luck has been pretty bad this year.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad this year.
That's all right. You want the 49ers to win, so it's okay. I get it.
He did fumble a couple times at the end of the year. I mean, I don't even know if he's going to play in the game, to be honest. It doesn't really seem like it, but we'll see. You're number 2.
Patrick Mahomes throws 2 pick sixes in the first half.
That's good. Is there anything else? And the 49ers go on to win?
No. I'm just leaving that at that.
They-
He could still throw 2 pick sixes, which is very unlikely to happen.
Yeah.
But could happen, and they still win.
Well, that matches up with my number 5 because then he could throw 2 interceptions to Fred Warner, pick sixes. That would be perfect. San Diego getting in there as well as the 49ers touchdown.
Yeah, still likely wouldn't get the MVP if they lost.
Probably true. If the 49ers pick off Patrick Mahomes and pick 6 him twice and they lose, Kyle Shanahan needs to go. He needs to go.
Wow.
if they get
Fire
that many
him, huh?
mistakes from Patrick Mahomes.
Number 1.
My number 1, unlikely, but could happen at the Super Bowl. Deebo Samuel rushes for over 125 yards. Because he
Have
can.
a day, Debo.
Because the rushing yards, all he needs to do is break a big one. And
Does he retire after the game from all the punishment? He's going to be hurt after that game.
he might be hurt if he's running for 125 yards. But no, he doesn't retire. He just fakes an injury for like half of the next year and, gets back into it when it matters. That's what he does.
You'll like this one as my number 1. Not likely to happen, but could. Brock Purdy throws for over 300 yards,
Like
3
this.
touchdowns, and a perfect passer rating. That's it.
I don't like how you don't give me the end. I need someone to tell me the end of the story.
No, that's the end of the story.
I need the end of the story, which would, even if it's that the 49ers lose in that effort, I just need to know where I'm working
These
with.
are unlikely bets that could happen, correct? Or that aren't likely to happen, but could.
Yeah, exactly. And that does qualify. Brandon has a good one, and it's not good for me, but it's a good unlikely but may happen. Shanahan blows another 28-3 lead in a Super Bowl, which happened with the Patriots and the Falcons when Shanahan was the offensive coordinator.
That would be kind of
Falcons.
funny, actually.
I don't know if it would be funny, but it would be remarkable. Does Andy Reid retire if the Chiefs win? We talked about this the other day.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
If Andy's smart, he's just going to ride this until Patrick Mahomes' dad body is out of control. That's what I would do. I'm riding Patrick Mahomes until the wheels fall off.
Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, that's it for the countdown. We're all done. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, we talked about his wife being in Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition yesterday. And I would like to say she does not deserve all the hate she's getting out there. It's not a good world out there. I just leave her alone.
She's catching a lot of heat.
Yeah, and she was catching heat from another player's wife who is she is a Sports Illustrated model.
So,
and I kind of understand her point of view because what she was saying, like, there's so many people that work really hard to get this opportunity to be in the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition, and Brittany Mahomes isn't one of those people.
She didn't work hard to get. Did she know that?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't said like that. Like people within Sports Illustrated who worked their way up, like the people like me working my way up from producer up top. Like there are other people that could fill in for that shoot, quote unquote.
What do you mean
that are deserving?
Could be the model.
Yeah, you could be deserving.
I'm pretty sure.
What are you pretty sure?
That Mrs. Mahomes is not the first one to be like a guest celebrity swimsuit model that didn't have to, work from the bottom. And now we here. Like it didn't have to do that. Because that's what the point was of the ladies, that there's plenty of models that do this that aren't like swimsuit models.
I guess here's another example. I am next up to be Chris, and they just choose some random person out there instead of me. That would bother me.
But this
doesn't have any that didn't work in radio, isn't actually a radio person, and they're like, hey, we're gonna hire you over Skraby. That would bother me.
That's not the same thing.
Okay, I have another example for you when we get back.
Yeah, but save it for when we come back.
Okay.
More Gwynn and Chris on the other side.
Gwynn versus the fans, 833-288-0973.
401. Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby. Gwynn versus the fans. On deck. 833-288-0973. Now, Skraby, continue to explain this. The model.
Oh yes,
that
yes,
was
yes.
upset with
Brittany Mahomes
Mahomes
for being able to pose in the Sports Illustrated swim.
Now, help me understand what she's upset about.
She is upset.
This is a model
who apparently works for Sports Illustrated.
She works for sport as a what? As a model?
Yeah, as a model.
Okay.
And she's married to someone in the NFL, Kendricks. I'm not sure of.
I believe it's the linebacker.
It does sound familiar as a linebacker. But so she put these up on her Instagram story, and I watched them this morning, and she didn't ever say Brittany Mahomes' name, but she kept mentioning the things, and everybody put it together. But she's mad because there are models that work their entire career for that opportunity, and just because your last name is Mahomes, you're going to be able to get this spot over someone who's been working their entire life to get there, just because you want to do it as a hobby. Like, I don't think that Brittany Mahomes is doing this for a profession. Personally, I don't care if she does it as a hobby, but I understand where she's coming from.
Mrs. Kendricks. I don't know if it's a wife
let me
or
go
if it's a
figure this
girlfriend.
out. Yeah.
Either way, as long as that same energy it was there for some of the other celebrity swimsuit folks that came in, cool. Then then there's some consistency across the board. But if it's just solo, singling out, Brittany Mahomes, it just feels like it's just fake outrage.
I can buy that too, because it does seem
like a pile on. It really is what it feels
like. Let's think of. I'm trying to think. I'm just going to use Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence,
not a model,
but she's famous. She gets a spot. I guess you should be as.
Where's that energy?
Yeah. Okay, you make a good point there, because just because it's Brittany Mahomes, now you're angry.
That's what it feels like.
A little bit, but I can understand where she's coming. Here's my example for you. I'm going to do it baseball wise, and I even wrote it down. You've been working up through the minor leagues, and you are up next. But instead, they go out and they get Garth Brooks to play over you. Tell me that wouldn't anger you.
That would anger me.
There you go. So we find it. We find some commonality.
Garth Brooks.
I had to choose a guy who actually did go to Padres spring training.
That was a good one.
That's how I feel like she is feeling, that woman.
Wow. Well, everybody's upset about something these days.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Chris versus the fans.
Nope.
Gwynn versus the fans. 833-288-0973. We are going to be playing for a trip to Las Vegas. You're qualified for our grand prize. A 2-night stay at Westgate Las Vegas and 2 tickets to Air Supply. With a legacy spanning decades, Air Supply continues to captivate hearts. Now in their 45th anniversary year, the duo continues to play more than 130 shows a year worldwide. Join us in celebrating their music and enduring legacy on May 31st and June 1st, 2024 at the Westgate International Theater at Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino features newly designed premier rooms, part of their $70 million room renovations, home of legendary Vegas fun.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
Howdy do.
now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
I know it wasn't the Gwynn versus the fans. I know. I'm going to put that in the computer because apparently I can't remember to pull it out. I should have taken that one back. All right, the rules: you have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get the question wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. Tony gets it right, you're eliminated. Tony gets it wrong, and you move on to the next question, or you win. I'm a little concerned that the spice challenge yesterday has eaten away part of my brain.
Yeah, because you weren't quite right.
Ever since then, my brain has been like one little millisecond off, and I can't pronounce things. I can't read. It's terrible.
It's like the outside, is fine, but
there's something weird going on.
It's deteriorating fast.
The spices are eating away at my brain right now because nothing has been easy for me. All right. So Tony's ready to go. You all are ready to go out there. If you're a first-time player, let us know before you get into it, and you will get that question for free. The first question for free, and you'll start on the second question. I don't know if I'm going to make it through the show, Tony. My brain is dying by the second. Let's go to... Stop saying stuff, Matt Skraby. Please.
Dying by the second.
Please stop saying weird things. Michael, you are up. How are you?
What's up, Michael?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going well, my man. Here we go.
I know you're a veteran player, so question number 1. Who just returned from an indefinite suspension in the NBA because of his quote-unquote flailing arms?
Draymond Green?
Draymond Green is correct. See, I just did it again. Here we go. Question number 2. Ooh, this is a tough one, actually. Where did Kadarius Toney play college football?
No idea. Kentucky.
Kentucky. Stay there, Michael. Tony's pretty good at these, though.
Kadarius.
Cardavius.
Seems like a Floridian.
He does seem like a Floridian.
I'm going to go Gator Town. I'm going to go Florida.
Sorry, Michael. Appreciate you playing. You know what? He does seem like a Floridian.
When I heard him, going off on well, he said he wasn't going off in the Chiefs.
They cut it together.
He said he was going off on comments in his IG.
But you record that.
Listen, I just saying what he said. He definitely sounded like a Floridian. I got some buddies that sound just like that. All Floridians.
He went to Florida, so good job. Good job on sussing that out?
Yes, I guess.
Okay. I'm getting worse by the second.
Did you invite our new guest on, dude? Come on, man, get it together.
I'm sorry. Let's go to Brandon El Cajon. Brandon.
Hey, I got a better example than George Brooks, by the way.
Okay, who?
Imagine being a minor leaguer with the Mets, and then they signed Tim Tebow.
That's a realistic one.
All right. That is a good one, Brandon. And I would be furious if I was a minor leaguer and Tim Tebow was there.
Who looks the part, but actually
isn't a baseball player.
Yeah, no, that's a
great one, Brandon. Great one. All right, here we go. Question number 1. Barack Obama is a big fan of what sport?
I believe he's a Cubs fan, so baseball.
Is this a fair question?
Yeah.
Sorry, Brandon.
I believe the answer is basketball.
Yes, he does do a lot of. He used to do the
brother-in-law
brackets.
was the head coach at Oregon State there for a little bit.
I do remember something about that. Sorry about that, Brandon. Man, we got Chris Ello in the house all of a sudden, just eliminating people every 5 seconds. Dan, you're up. How you doing, Dan?
What's up, Dan?
Good. Aztecs win. Dan wins.
All
right. Here we go, Dan. Question number 1. Gary Sanchez just signed with what team?
Jeepers Creepers. I'll say Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. I love the Jeepers Creepers. I love that movie. Sorry, Dan. Tony.
My original squad, the Brew Crew. Brewers. I know how much of a stickler you are for non-names. Brewers.
Thank
Milwaukee
you.
Brewers.
Thank you. I would have also accepted Milwaukee Brewers.
Milwaukee.
Yes. All right. Let's go to our next contestant. We are going to go to James. James, you're up.
Hey, happy Friday, guys.
Happy Friday,
Happy
James.
Friday. You ready to go?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Here we go. How many goals is a hat trick?
3 goals.
3 goals is correct. Nice job, James. Here we go. Question number 2. Who was the first left-handed quarterback to get a Super Bowl ring?
Steve Young? No clue.
Who did you say?
Steve Young.
Oh, Steve Young. Steve Young.
Roger Staubach.
Roger Staubach was not it either. Tony, do you know who was the first left-handed quarterback to get a Super Bowl ring? Stay there, James. I don't know that Tony knows this one. I'm going to have to talk before the alarm goes off.
Is how about Joe Namath?
Joe Namath. Is he 11?
I have no idea.
I don't think he is.
I know he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Broadway Joe. At least he remembered his last name this time. Ken Stabler, according to my book at home. He was the first left-handed quarterback.
According to what?
My sports trivia book that I have at home.
Okay.
So
as long as you can get it from Wikipedia, I think we're all right.
I did not get it from Wikipedia.
It hasn't treated you well.
No. James, you are still alive. Here we go. Question number 3 for this qualification for a trip to Las Vegas. What player threw the touchdown pass that Nick Foles caught in the Super Bowl that was officially named the Philly Special? Why do you have this look on your face like this is super easy?
No, I'm in trouble.
Oh, okay. James, do you know?
I'm going to guess Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz, an educated guess. Do you know, Tony? Stay there, James.
Alshon Jeffries?
Oh, he was in the game. You are a winner, James. Nice job.
Work, James.
It was actually someone that I forgot until I looked this up. Trey Burton.
Don't even remember who he is.
I think he was like a tight end, maybe.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't think he's in the league anymore either. But there you go, James.
Nice work,
job.
James.
Stay there. I got to get your information in the break. Man, you're getting good like Chris in this game. I don't like it.
I just questions I happen to know.
Well, is it?
When did you do these questions?
Earlier this week.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. Yeah. Oh. Are you saying you remember some of them?
No. I'm saying typically when you haven't done questions and you do them like on a whim really fast.
Oh, they're not very good.
They're not very good. And I usually hammer those ones. So
you do.
Kudos to me for actually getting some that you actually prepared this time.
Does it make me a hater that I would I enjoy the days that you're doing it because I don't have to recreate many questions?
It's a backhanded compliment is what it is. It's not necessarily a diss, but it's a backhanded compliment.
All right, stay there, James. That's it for Gwynn versus the fans.
All right, let's get to break. When we come back on the other side, more Gwynn and Chris. We got some traffic before you come back to see us.
Yeah, and I got to delete these, and here we go.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Shame on me. It's 4:19, less than an hour away from tip-off, and I have not mentioned my Aztecs. Our Aztecs. Aztecs taking on Nevada at 5 o'clock. Aztecs looking to continue their winning ways.
Kind of like this 5 p.m. start thing.
I do too. I don't know if we've been able to really turn on a game at work here this season.
No, it's kind of crazy. These games start even after I get home from work.
Yeah.
Which is a long time.
Yeah. They usually are pretty late. We've had some like 8 o'clock starts.
Yeah.
But they take on Nevada, 18-5. They're both 18-5 on the year. Aztecs underdogs, being given 2.5.
Huh.
We should have bet on this game. We didn't.
We should have, but Nevada, 2.5-point favorites in the game. The problem with the Aztecs is that they haven't played great on the road. If this was at home, no problem. I'm going with the Aztecs, but they just have not played good on the road.
Both teams have literally done the same thing in the last 5 games. Win, win, loss, win, loss. Win, win, loss, win, loss.
I guess the game against Utah State.
Check that. Loss, win, win. Loss, win, win. I was reading it.
Oh, yeah.
Down there. There you
go. The Aztecs, I guess it's a really good sign that they beat Utah State by as much as they did last Saturday and then ended up taking care of Air Force as well. So maybe they found that gear again that they had earlier in the year.
I just think that, I think what we've seen across the Mountain West this year is that everybody's tough to deal with at home. The Aztecs are undefeated at home.
Yeah.
We've seen on the other end when the Aztecs have had to go to New Mexico. Was it Boise they went to?
Boise, yeah.
And there was the other loss. Utah State?
Possibly. No. Colorado State?
I don't know if they've gone to Colorado
State. They did.
They did. Okay,
Yeah.
so those are the 3 losses that they've had on the road. This is another road test, another Mountain West road test. So
huge road test.
Hopefully the Aztecs can come out victorious again. Tip-offs at 5 o'clock. We'll probably have the game on and here keep you updated as we go.
Of course.
Now, Scrape, let's go ahead. I'm turning the floor over to you, man.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Okay.
You wanted to touch on a specific subject.
Yes. So I know this has come up a few times in the last couple days. And
definitely came up on the Skraby show.
Oh, it did.
Skraby Chronicles.
The Skraby Chronicles went crazy on this. And it's a very polarizing topic, but it's something that we have to talk about because of the circumstances around it. And that would be Trevor Bauer. Now, in the chat here, we have a fan who is really, really dead set on getting Trevor Bauer. And so what I was saying on the Skraby show the other night is that I am willing to give Trevor Bauer a second chance just because I am a believer in second chances and he wasn't charged with anything. I know we've been over this. I know that there's other accusations, but taking what's official, I believe he gets a second chance. Do I want it with the Padres? No, I do not want it with the Padres. The reason that some people do want him on the Padres is because of his willingness to accept a very low salary and an incentive-laden contract. But I don't know that everybody is thinking about what happens when you bring in a Trevor Bauer to a team. And I'm not saying he's a bad teammate because guys have said that they like him as a teammate. But I think that the baggage that he carries with him of questions in the media and things that he says is just too much for a team. And I don't know that the Padres clubhouse wants that in there or can afford to have that
listen,
in there.
I think this is difficult on many different, counts. I think there's a segment of folks out there that think, morals do count, and that may be the main reason why they don't want. Because as you said, Trevor hasn't been convicted of anything, hasn't been arrested at that.
Yeah.
And so, I'm like you. I'm a believer in second chances. Based on what we know, I mean, I'll just go back to last year when you had players going to the media. We don't, undisclosed players.
Oh, we're talking about in the Padres clubhouse.
In the Padres
Oh,
clubhouse.
okay. Yeah.
I don't know that that's a clubhouse that necessarily could handle what would come with a little bit of a circus. And the thing is, you don't know how long that lasts. Like maybe he comes in and it's, for a little bit of time and then people move on and its focus becomes baseball. And then that'd be all fine and dandy. Because I don't think anybody's questioning whether Trevor Bauer can pitch and be effective.
Yeah.
It's just the baggage, as you said, that comes along with it. And at this point, the Padres aren't the only team that has decided not to do it.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
There are 30 teams out there,
Mhm.
and at this point, none of them have decided that it's worth it.
Yeah.
Now, how long is that fair for? How long does that last? I have a hard time, and I've said this from I think at some point somebody does sign him. Who that team is, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's a team that waits a little bit and sees what they need and then maybe goes after him, which is always kind of weird to me because you're kind of rewarding a guy who's been out of baseball with being on a good team because they know that he's going to pitch well, I think. I mean, he's been out of baseball, Major League Baseball for what? 3 seasons, 2 seasons now?
Has it been that
2.5
long?
seasons?
He missed last season. He missed most of the season.
Was the whole eye patch thing 2021? I think it was. And so who knows? I mean, he didn't play well or pitch well in Japan. He wasn't like dominant in Japan. And he kind of ruffled some feathers with his sword celebration, which again, we said yesterday, people are upset about everything these days.
Indeed.
I just don't think that the Padres clubhouse, like you said, I don't know that introducing him into the clubhouse is going to make that unit stronger.
Yeah. I don't know. He certainly is talented and could help a team. But unfortunately for him, teams are going to look at him like he has baggage. And, whether you agree with that or disagree with that is really irrelevant because the teams are the one that's ultimately making the decision. I will, he's putting himself out there, for sure. He's willing to, he said he's willing to play for the minimum. And that will be enticing to some team at some point. If a team becomes desperate enough, I don't think they'll hesitate, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Donnie Baseball in the chat, our media is soft, bring him in. And I read that to say,
what does that mean?
It means that we're not, I guess, willing to say bring him in. And we kind of just said,
hello, hello. The media is not the one making the decision here.
But what they're saying is that I don't know that people are publicly saying to bring Trevor Bauer in. And the reason is because it won't help the camaraderie of the team. And so if you're in the chat,
I think that's a scapegoat argument to blame it on the media.
Yeah.
Media's never signed anybody. And certainly teams have signed people the media was like, absolutely don't sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's just blaming the media for him not being signed. I think ultimately the teams are going to have to be the ones to make the decision. They are obviously weighing not what the media says, I assume what their fan base is saying, and calculating if it's going to piss enough people off for it to hurt them.
Yeah, that's what Gary Sheffield Jr. tweeted the other night. He basically tweeted like, hey, bring him in because your fan base is going to still be there. They might be mad for a little bit. Anthony says...
And Junior may very well be right. That ultimately it doesn't end up mattering as much as...
I think it's case by case.
Maybe so.
Because there's certain cities that like they can bring someone in and it will ruffle feathers, but it won't be that big of a deal.
Let me ask you this.
What?
I know we've heard like little blurbs here and there, but how much of the fan base did the Browns lose after signing Deshaun Watson?
That's a good question. I do.
He was actually a lot further along in his
discretions
than Trevor Bauer.
That's a good question. I would say, well, Chris told us that his neighbor is a Browns fan, is no longer a Browns fan.
There's some anecdotal ones out there that they've decided, but
there's a lot of people cheering for him.
I watched those games, man. There's certainly when they was winning football games.
Yeah. Anthony is saying on the chat, why are Bauer's issues such a big deal when we got guys like Ozuna in the league, which is Marcell Ozuna? That's a good point.
That's what I'm getting at, is that certainly teams ultimately do what they want to do in terms of bringing people in. And so Marcell Ozuna is a good example. He's still on the Braves, productive.
But he also was accused of something much worse. And it wasn't even an accusation. It was on kind of camera.
Yeah.
So
And
it was
so-
on the body cam. Yeah, in closing, Donnie Baseball says he was saying our media compared to Philadelphia, LA, and New York is nothing. He will be less of a circus here than other places.
That's a valid point. Thank you for elaborating on
Yes.
that, Donnie Baseball.
Yes.
That's a good point. Soft probably isn't the word. It's just, it's not as hectic here, right? There's a reason why it's a much more chill city. The media, and Jesse and I have this conversation often. There are things that happen here that if they happened in LA, Philly,
We would
New
never
York,
stop hearing about it.
it would be terrible.
Yeah.
But it's never been that way here. So that's a good point, Donnie Baseball.
Luis gave me Trevor Bauer's Japan stats, and I was wrong. He did pitch well. He was 11-4, 2.55 ERA, 160 strikeouts, and 155 innings.
Yeah, I didn't speak on that because I didn't know what his numbers were, but those are pretty good. Was he in like the AAA of?
No, I
Japan?
think
did he? Because I know he started there. No, he may have come up.
I think
after.
he came up because there were a lot of people that bought tickets to go see him. I'm gonna have to research that, but I don't think I can find it quick enough. Thank you for the chatting, everybody, because really we need to know what you guys are thinking, because talking about stuff the fans care about.
I mean, that's I've seen that topic bubbling up here a little bit more as of late.
It's gotten really divisive. Is that the word? I'm using big words today.
Has it gotten divisive?
It's separating
Are people
fan base.
pushing people to the opposite sides?
Yes, they are being pushed to the opposite sides, because there are people who will never want Trevor Bauer in a Padres uniform, and there are people who are like, I would like to see my team win this year, and he wasn't charged, so bring him in.
I think both fair arguments, fair reasons to feel that way.
Do you think that the Padres maybe have a little bit of they have a little bit of not, I don't know what the word is, but he's talked a lot of stuff about the Padres in the past.
Has he?
Yeah, he did the whole one eye thing with Fernando.
That's competition, man. I mean,
talking about the Padres all the time.
As much as it irritated me watching, I don't know that it means he's talking. I mean, that's just him and Fernando. When it was against Fernando, he put the eye patch on.
Yeah, and then Fernando hit the home run.
Blasted him out.
Yeah, and he did the same thing.
Hey, it's all fair in love and war.
Yes, it is.
All right, let's get to break. Big Five on the other side. Man, we always had a thought that sometimes these teams might be making up injuries. Well,
that doesn't happen.
Apparently it does. We'll explain on the other side. More Gwynn and Chris.
Ben and
I want to give a shout out to my man Michael Flicks and Heather Cleaves. I joined them today for Michael's podcast. Covers really all of high school basketball around the county. He does a terrific job spotlighting these kids and getting a chance, and so does Heather. And so they do some incredible work for the high school kids out here. I think they deserve some love. So appreciate you guys getting to spend some time with you guys. Michael, appreciate you having me on the podcast. I think it hits Sunday. So
you
check
have
it
to
out.
share it to everybody.
I will.
Everybody.
I will definitely do that. But
we were supposed to be out at Poway today, so
that's
apologize.
why I brought it up. We were supposed to be at Poway. The rain today, yesterday, the day before, the whole week kind of put a scuttle on that, and so we missed out on getting to go to Cathedral last week, Poway this week, Poway RB, big rivalry game.
Those two schools are on our list for when we can get back out there soon.
We're gonna. I mean, moving forward, we've been trying to do this right, and different things keep popping up. But we do the football, we do the basketball. That's kind of like an every year thing, every year type deal. Hopefully, we get a chance to kind of spread ourselves out a little bit across San Diego County next year to do it. To do some football and some basketball.
I love the football games. We've only done one basketball game, but the football games have been super fun.
Yeah,
I would love for this rain to go away because yesterday I came home to my dog Lucky. He decided to obviously get in the mud. That's not the big deal. But he decided he was going to dance all over my bed with the mud. So my entire comforter and sheets were all muddy last night. And so that was fun. I need him to get out of the mud.
I can't even fathom mud. Like, I'd be so hot if my dog was in my bed spreading mud out.
Okay, I am angry when I see that.
What happens? Do you just go to sleep?
No, I changed that last night. There was no way I was going to be able to sleep in that. Okay. Like, if he touches the bottom of the bed and it's muddy, sure, I'll fall asleep at the bottom of the bed muddy. But not last night. I would have been laying in the mud. But it's hard because you can't tell him he did anything wrong because he has no idea what I'm talking about. So it's like, how do I punish him for something? And so, but yesterday,
I think they know.
I kind of do too.
I think they absolutely know
because they give you that look like, I'm going to act like I don't know what you're saying, but I know what you're saying.
You're not fooling me.
But I did this whole thing when I saw it. I go, did you do this? Did you do this? See? And he turned his head, and I lifted up the blanket. This is mud. And he looked at me, and he was just kind of like sitting there like he usually does.
Yeah, I don't know if they understand that part. Like, this is mud.
What have I told you, young man, about what's going on?
I don't know if they understand all that, but they definitely understand that I don't want you jumping up here after you just been out there.
Yes. What's the name of the podcast? Someone, Rob's asking that you just talked about.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. It'll come to me.
I mean, all right. Well, it's coming to Tony. We're going to do traffic, and then we'll do the big five.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, a 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. Got a collision on eastbound 8 now. This is before the 15. It's over the right shoulder. Stalled vehicle on westbound 8, right at the southbound 805 connector. It's got that right lane blocked. Don't be surprised if you still see a stray shower or two out there. Yeah, we had some really weird weather lately. If you do run into some slick conditions, you know what to do. Take it extra carefully. Wouldn't hurt to have your headlights on so you're more visible to other drivers. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline instant drive-thru oil change centers. You don't have to get out of your car. It usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for discounts, locations nearest you. Valvoline oil change centers are open 7 days a week. And Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
The podcast is called On the Mic with Michael Flicks.
There you go. Sunday episode dropping.
Boom.
Real quick on the chat, Tay Per said the worst is when a cat pees in your bed. Thankfully, that doesn't happen.
Don't have cats, don't like cats, so that won't happen to me.
Yeah.
I'm definitely allergic to cats.
Oh, well, that makes
so
sense.
that's why I don't.
Yeah,
like
you
cats.
can't.
I'm not
be
just
involved.
hating on cats just for.
I
no
was just
reason.
about to say, cats out there have a little bit of an issue with you.
Number 5.
Yes, they do.
Lakers news is a hot topic right now, and after not making many moves or any moves at the deadline, the reporters are now trying to figure out this summer's transactions that may happen.
Already, we can't even enjoy the rest of this season?
No, we got to figure out what's going on in the draft and all this other free agency stuff. With a trio of first-round picks at their disposal this summer, the Athletics' Jovan Buhat reports that 3 potential targets for the Lakers are Kyrie Irving, Trae Young, and Donovan Mitchell, which would be in line with what CBS Sports' Bill Ryder's reporting from yesterday on the Lakers' interest in adding Young or Mitchell to their roster this summer. So, Tony, you're a Laker guy. Who would you want the Lakers to acquire?
I mean, who is it? Kyrie, who and who?
Kyrie and Donovan Mitchell and Trae Young. I know you don't want Trae Young. He doesn't play defense, right?
He doesn't.
Donovan Mitchell's pretty good.
He is, but I don't know that he fits Bron. He likes to have the ball in his hand too.
Are we looking at a Kyrie Irving reunion?
Kyrie is the only one that has proven to know how to play with LeBron. And at this
Do
point,
they like each other still?
Yeah, I think they like.
Is Kyrie kind of calmed down from some of the things that have happened?
Just listening to him talk this year, it seems like he's gained some perspective.
Okay, that's good.
I like growth, man.
Me too.
I mean, that's just hearing him speak and almost like catching himself before he says something that could get him into trouble.
Yeah.
I think that's growth.
That is growth.
Just, I know we all like to just say whatever comes to mind, but I don't think you should. I think there should be a filter that you don't mention everything that comes to your mind.
I'm a prime example of that.
Yes, you are.
I can eat Thai 10. That's exactly what happened.
Yes, you are a prime example.
Well, if Kyrie Irving,
he's the best. He's the best fit of the 3.
Yeah, he's never been mean-spirited in anything really. I'm trying to.
He's just
think.
he's
too honest.
As a lot of us are. When you're young, you just have misguided thoughts in certain areas.
True. I want them to get Trae Young because I want to hear you screaming about defense.
I mean, we'll have a prolific offense, but we'll be giving up 130.
Former New York Mets general manager Billy Epler was suspended through the 2024 World Series today by Commissioner Rob Manfred, who concluded he directed the team to fabricate injuries to create open roster spots. No Mets medical or athletic training personnel were mentioned in the announcement by MLB, but Manfred said in a statement that Epler directed, quote, the deliberate fabrication of injuries and the associated submission of documentation for the purposes of securing multiple improper injury placements during the 2022 and 2023 season.
He didn't only force this to happen. He created receipts.
He did create receipts.
He didn't even get receipts. He created receipts.
The scheme involved fabricating injuries for up to a dozen players, sources told ESPN's Jesse Rogers. Sources also said that an anonymous letter from within the organization tipped off the MLB. That's the most interesting part to me. I don't know who would do that. I'm up first. Should he be suspended longer than through the 2024 World Series? I don't really know, but my first instinct was this is pretty serious. It seems like, because we never hear about this. And so I'm surprised it was only through the 2024 World Series. I'm surprised he's not like banned for 5 seasons or something, because this seems like a big deal. Tony?
I don't know. It seems about right.
Really?
I mean, first of all, he doesn't have a job right now, I don't think. So
no,
I don't know that the suspension is a real suspension, right?
But no one will hire him because of it.
Touche. I think it's about the right time.
Okay.
I mean, a year's worth of no paychecks from big leagues is kind of a big deal.
All right. I revised mine to 3 years.
Number 3
was banned for life.
I honestly thought this was more serious.
It does. I mean, we all who pay attention to IL stints roll our eyes when you see a guy pitching one day or playing one day, and all of a sudden he's got he's on the IL for 15 after he just threw 7 shutout innings the night before.
Yeah.
And we all go, it's a little weird.
And it's like
Dodgers.
It's like oh, they're on the 10-day IL because they have a bruised palm.
Right.
Like, how did you get a bruised palm?
Bruised palm.
What kind of weird things are you doing, sir?
Yeah, no, that's I mean, now you know that, in this case, your thought was actually an accurate one.
Okay. All right.
Number 3.
We talked about this a little bit earlier. UCLA coach Chip Kelly is expected to become the next offensive coordinator at Ohio State, sources told ESPN today. UCLA announced that Kelly is departing the program and that a national search for a new head coach has begun. Kelly is expected to replace Bill O'Brien, who is set to become the head coach of Boston College today at some point. Ohio State had hired Bill O'Brien in mid-January as part of a head coach Ryan Day's move to no longer call plays and to run the program more holistically. Tony, why take a step down? We kind of went through this earlier, but what do you think? Why take a step down?
I honestly,
step down meaning head coach to offensive coordinator.
Maybe he feels like, and remember, UCLA is moving to the Big Ten next year.
Yes.
It sounds like they are woefully behind in NIL, and you're moving into the Big Ten where they know how to do NIL, it sounds like.
Yeah.
This could be, and this is the thing that's scary about this large conference kind of takeover. UCLA could go to at least a semi-prominent program to being like non-existent.
Yeah.
In the Big Ten. It could be very easily get lost.
It's already getting lost in the Pac-12.
In the Pac-12. That's what I'm saying. And so now you're going to the big, and so maybe Chip saw the writing on the wall and was like, you know what? Ohio State offensive coordinator is probably a much better gig than I'm going to have here being at the cellar of this Big Ten conference.
Kirk Kenney texted me a good explanation as to why he may have done this. And he basically said, like, being an offensive coordinator makes you not have to deal with all the head coaching stuff.
I was about to say less responsibility for sure.
Yeah, he was saying Bruins could be 1-3 after 4 games, and the Heat would be on to fire Kelly. They start with Hawaii. I think that's the one win. Then they go Indiana, LSU, Oregon, Penn State, Minnesota. I mean, it's a brutal schedule after that because now you're in the Big Ten.
It could be a long, Dave Marcus.
I was just thinking about him.
It's going to be a long year, buddy.
It's going to be a long year.
Oh, I'm not actually a UCLA fan.
That's when he's going to jump back to San Diego State.
I'm actually a Dallas Cowboys fan, everybody.
He definitely is that, too.
Number 2.
At least one Miami's Dolphin player suggested recently he would have liked to see the playoff game against the Chiefs that was in temperatures up to -30 wind chill. He wanted to see that game postponed. That's according to Dolphins punter Jake Bailey, who shed new light on the 4th coldest game in league history during a Radio Row appearance yesterday. He said, quote, if you watch the game and the wide receivers, they're routing that end zone. So take a step back. There was one of the sides of the field was like frozen. And so everybody hated that side of the field. But he said, if you watch the game and the wide receivers, their route in that end zone, they were barely tiptoeing because you're going to fall down. Chiefs defensive lineman Chris Jones said he got frostbite in the small areas his wetsuit he was wearing wasn't covering his skin. Did you hear about this?
Time out. What small areas does
Like
Chris
neck?
Jones have?
Neck? Like the wetsuit didn't overlap or something.
So he got frostbite.
Multiple people got frostbite on the team.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And these guys are out there with no shirt on in some cases.
That is wild too. But did you know that they wore wetsuits?
Yes.
That day?
Yes.
I never heard, I had heard that until recently.
I guarantee you it's wetsuits and a bunch of Vaseline underneath that.
Wow, that's a lot, and that sounds disgusting to me.
It probably does sound disgusting, but it works. Keeps you warm.
Justin in the chat said the Carlsbad quarterback, Justin Sayan, is going to Ohio State. That's why Chip Kelly's going. So we'll give it to Justin Sayan.
Good for Justin.
All right, so blah, 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 blah. Chris Jones, blah, blah, blah. Looking back, this is our official answer, and we are going to move on from this forever, Tony. And I'm up first. Should they have postponed the game? No. The players were the most protected people on the field. If they should have done anything, it was no fans in the stands, because there were a lot of people that had to have ambulances and medical attention because they were too cold. The reason the Bills and whoever they're playing, I can't remember at this point, they got postponed because it was a blizzard. You could not drive 3 feet in your car without getting stuck. The cold weather, sorry, build a dome if you don't like cold weather. Or lose a bunch of games so you have to play on the road in the playoffs, okay? I'm tired of this. Tony?
Yeah, man, unfortunately, the conditions are the conditions. And if it's not a blizzard and you can actually see a football floating through the air and you played a game. Unfortunately, the conditions were atrocious, but it's all in the job description, unfortunately, for football players.
It is. And that's one of the reasons I love football. They play in insanely crazy conditions like -30 wind chills. Now, is it fun for me or for them? No,
It's fun for
probably
me.
not.
I'm at home watching it.
I was freezing. I put my 49er Snuggie on. I was like, ooh, so cold out there.
Number 1.
By the way, they found the reason for those 3 fans that passed away in Kansas City. It was fentanyl. So everybody, this is a serious thing. Be very careful about everything these days. All right. So CBS Sports, Sean McManus he's the president of CBS Sports. He's defending Tony Romo because he has seen the social media hate for Tony Romo. He says it's very undeserved. He also said, quote, I think if people really listen to Tony, he's not your meat and potatoes analyst. He's more of a fan. He gets excited. We sometimes say to him, I don't know, Jim. We sometimes say to him, and this is what we've been speculating, quote, hey, calm down a little bit because you do get too into the game, which then he goes on to say, I think is a plus. But I think generally speaking, people really enjoy listening to Nance Romo and Tracy Wolfson. Now, they're going to be the crew that's calling the game this weekend. And I think this is kind of weird, but do you think it's a good idea to tell Tony Romo to calm down?
I don't. I think that is what makes him unique and a good broadcaster. And it brings you closer as a fan, I think. Because this is a dude who, despite the lack of success in terms of getting to a Super Bowl, he's a really good quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
And not only was he a really good quarterback, he's a really smart quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's bringing that element along with his love for the football game from a fan perspective. And I think that's unique. Not a lot of broadcasters have that. So I'm a big fan of Tony Romo.
Me too. I think that you shouldn't tell people how their personality should be because now I hear it in him trying to stay calm, trying to not get too excited.
I think Tony should do what Tony does.
Yeah, I want him to predict plays. I want him to be excited. That's fun about Tony Romo is that he kind of seems like a normal dude, even though he's not. All right, that's it for the Big Five.
He's on the Skechers roster, isn't he?
He is on the Skechers roster.
Him and Don Orsillo headlining.
Don's a Skechers guy?
You better ask him. Man, he loves it.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Sketcher man.
Wow. That's
5 o'clock
incredible.
hour. Happy hour. More Gwynn and Chris on the way.
to get up into that air, you need this to be in the conversation of a dynasty. We are experiencing an earthquake. Is that what that was? Yes, this is an earthquake. That's what's happening. You are an absolute dynasty, you are on the path.
That was Joy Taylor. Speak for yourself. Middle of their show, an earthquake hit.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Cali.
I think it was like Thousand
Oaks?
Yeah, something like that.
It's always fun to be around people who aren't from California
Yes.
and never experienced an earthquake. 3 of the cast on that show aren't from California. One is. And he was the one you heard going, ooh, like he was having a good old time.
Was that James Jones?
It was James Jones.
Yeah.
The other 3, which was Shady McCoy, Joy Taylor, and his name is
Emmanuel Acho.
Emmanuel Acho. They look concerned.
They're
now
highly
Joy
concerned.
didn't because she was in the middle of her montage. But the other 2 guys, I mean, especially Shady. Shady looked like he was about to run off set.
100%. He had it in his eyes like, do I need to get out of this chair
He
right
was
now?
about to hit the hole like he was back in the league there, heading out of that building.
This was posted 9 years ago, but it was a KTLA station, and they had an earthquake on the air, and the guy, one of the anchors, just loses his mind. So here it is.
Ginger, thank you. Coming up, more problems for a troubled
Earthquake.
skater. Yep,
We're
we got
having an earthquake.
He dives under the table. He literally dives under the table, and he's still under the table.
It appears to have stopped.
It's still going.
We're gonna jump right now to
Look at our cameras behind us.
to the U.S. Geological Survey.
He is so upset.
He looked like he sounded like he was terrified. When I was here in 2000, I want to say it was 2009, we had an earthquake while we were down at Petco, and the right field, like down the right field line, there's like up at the top, there's a set of lights, and watching that bad boy shake, I mean, it was. I don't get too frightened about earthquakes. I've experienced enough of them, but when you see something that big wobbling like that, it's a realization of how quick it can go bad.
Also, my this isn't about an earthquake, but my dad's first job, if I can speak, I don't think I can. His first job was in the John Hancock building in Chicago, and it was like a really tall building, and Chicago is very windy.
Building,
and so like when you're at the top and it's windy, it sways. So he says sometimes when you go to the bathroom, the toilet would be like
moving.
Yeah, that is creepy. I would not be a fan of that.
Gotta work on your aim.
No, I wasn't talking about that. It was just like being that high in a building and having it just swaying. Oof, not for me.
Not fun. Padres officially signed Wandy Peralta today. Now the attention turns to the outfield. When that is, how that happens, not sure. There's a few more veteran pitchers that have remained unsigned that perhaps Padres, and not perhaps, they have expressed interest at least at some point during the offseason. Hyunjin Ryu, former Dodger. How about this name? Eric Lauer.
Yeah.
Former
old
Padre.
friend.
Yeah. Michael Lorenzen, we've talked about that one at length. So still some names out there. Remember, the Padres right now have they have enough for a rotation. Some young guys, unproven guys, but they don't have a lot of depth. And we talk about this often. Spring training comes around. It's very rare that you get through spring training with 0 injuries. Usually, even if it's a setback for a week or two, what you hope, if you're going to have injuries, you hope to have them early in spring. What you don't want is that injury that hits you. In this case, I mean, early would be like beginning of March, or too late, I should say, beginning of March, because remember the Padres head out for Korea on the 13th.
Yeah.
And my guess is if you're hurt in that time frame,
you're not going.
You may not go. I don't know that the staff is going to be able to, treat you. Maybe you do go. You're there for a week. Maybe that's too long to be without, but maybe you do stay back if you
have to rehab or something like that.
So I don't know. Padres certainly still have some things I think they want to address. When that happens, I'm not sure.
The one thing that I saw last night that kind of got me laughing, but also kind of made me shake my head in agreement was they need to remove all kettlebells from the weight rooms
Can't do that.
Because of last year when Joe accidentally dropped the kettlebell on his foot, and we were also worried about it.
You got to be more careful.
You do have to be more careful.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's just one of those freak.
That was a
things.
bad omen for last year.
You think about it. I mean, you had that happen. Then you had you go to the World Baseball Classic and not pitch,
and then like pitch randomly,
and then like have to like build that up.
Yeah, that is true.
Did Nick Martinez go? Wait, did he go and come back, or did he pull out at the last second?
I think he didn't go because
I think he ended up staying back.
My memory is so bad.
You had Juan Soto, he left. Manny left.
Basically, everyone left.
Only Toddy was the only one that stayed back.
Yeah, because I don't think he was eligible to play.
Right. So it'll be a different spring training this year. You don't have the distractions.
He did end up pitching.
He did pitch.
Nick Martinez, yeah, he did.
He came back, though. I know he only pitched once, and he came back early. I know that.
Yeah, he pitched game 2, it's looking like.
And it sounded like they were going to try to, as long as he was going to start, he was good with Stan. But once Darvish was gone and he wasn't getting any innings, and then they, I think they turned to Nick, and he was going to be kind of in a different role. I think at that point he made the decision, I got to look out for the team and get myself ready because he was going to be in the rotation.
That's a guy I think the Padres are going to miss a lot.
I 100% agree.
And what did he didn't sign for a lot of money. And I know we've been talking so much about the money this year, but that's exactly what the Padres are talking about.
I think they're going to
13 mil per year.
I think that's where, why you bring a guy like Wandy in. And you heard a little bit from AJ talking about that. Well, you guys didn't hear. We read about it, really.
Yeah.
They like the flexibility with multiple lefties. And this is a quote from AJ. He said, I think Peralta will be able to fill a lot of different spots for us, honestly. And that was the attraction. It was he could pitch really anywhere from the 6th inning to the 9th inning. Who does that remind you of? Nick Martinez.
Yeah. I was going to say Josh Hader for a second, but it doesn't.
He didn't come in the 6th or the 7th.
Yes, it does. I mean, Nick Martinez was the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Anytime you needed him, he was there.
Yeah. So Wandy Peralta officially a Padre.
There was a clip that Adam sent me earlier today, and all this Josh Hader stuff is coming out right now for some reason. Well, he just signed his contract.
He did a podcast.
Yeah, and so Foul Territory is the new place to go if you want to get good information.
Foul Territory is it's a bunch of different old players that have played. I think Adam Jones is a part of Foul Territory.
Oh, is he? I haven't seen him yet.
I think he's done some stuff with him.
AJ Przinsky, I believe, is part of Foul Territory.
Is part of it.
But they have great guests, and they also ask great questions. But the former Brewers executive, David Stearns, who I believe is now at the Mets. He
replaced the fake injury cat.
Oh, Billy Epler. Okay.
Yeah.
But David Stearns, he was the one who took a lot of heat for when they traded Josh Hader to the Padres. And at the time, he said he didn't have any regrets, but they asked him about that, and he may have changed his mind a little bit.
I've, as it probably wouldn't surprise you, I've thought about that transaction a lot. I've thought about that decision a lot. And look, what we were trying to do there, I think, was thread a needle, right? We were in a spot where we felt like we had a playoff caliber team. We were also trying to set ourselves up going forward, and we understood we were probably at the optimal time to get future value back for Josh. We thought we were going to be able to do an adequate job of backfilling after we traded Josh, and clearly we didn't. We made that trade. We were in playoff position, and we ended the year out of playoff position. That when you do something like that, it's going to hurt, and it stings, and frankly, it should sting. So, I think the intentions there were admirable. It was about extending a window as long as you possibly could, but we didn't execute it well enough. I didn't execute it well enough, and we missed the playoffs, and certainly that stung.
It's pretty honest right there.
Yeah, but he didn't really say anything though. Like what wasn't executed? You traded Josh Hader, you flipped it and turned it into Wilson Contreras, which is what the Brewers do.
Mm-hmm.
Did it only not work out because you didn't make the playoffs?
I think that's what he's saying. Like, I think that's his measuring stick is they had to make the playoffs. And would you think that they would have won more games if Josh Hader was their closer or on the team?
No,
Probably.
They definitely would have. But you knew that from the moment you traded him. Like you thought you were going to be better positioned without that closer than you were with him.
I think he is dressing up a pig by saying we knew the situation going on.
What he really wanted to say was Brewers didn't want to really extend him.
Yeah.
We knew we didn't have a chance to sign him.
We needed
We
to
didn't
move
want him
him.
to walk away with nothing.
Yeah, that's what I see here.
Yeah.
I see this whole thing, and he's
Because
kind of taking the fall for it.
He kudos to him because he does get the laugh because now his payroll pockets are a lot of bit deeper than they were in Milwaukee.
Yeah, fans were very upset about them trading Josh Hader because
As
it was
they
a
should.
weird
We
move.
all were like, oh,
okay.
well, thank you.
I remember the day I saw that. I was like, this can't be real. Is this one of those MLB facts ones? Have you seen those on Twitter?
Yeah.
They look so good, the graphics, and I fall for it every single time.
Now, let's go back. I remember people saying that Josh Hader was done because he came over struggling. He was not throwing the ball well at all.
And we saw a little bit of that.
We got to experience a little bit. But when he was going through that here in San Diego, I distinctly remember people saying, well, this is why the Brewers moved him. They thought he was done. They thought he was done. It's revisionist history now, all of a sudden, because Josh figured it out, which when you think about the track record he had prior to that struggle, you should have anticipated that he was going to figure it out.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was a heavy opinion.
Oh, this is why they moved him.
I remember, I'm not going to reveal who this person was, but they tried to convince me almost every day for a month that was because he was terrible. But then he turned it around and he ended up saving some games in the playoffs and he was pretty good. And last year he was good too when he decided he was going to pitch. I shouldn't have said that because I am kind of on his side. That's what we talked about last night. Is like, I found that more fans were accepting and understanding of his answer about why he didn't pitch in certain situations.
It sucked that it had to be us.
Yes, that's the thing.
That got caught in the middle of that.
Yeah,
but his reasoning is sound.
It's sound. It just doesn't. It didn't sit with me the right way. It doesn't really matter what I think, but as a team member, I would feel bad.
Right.
It would feel like I'm letting my team down.
I'm sure there was a portion of dudes in the locker room that felt like, man, I get where you're coming from, but
we're all doing stuff.
Right. But I think every guy in that locker room certainly like recognized why he was doing what he was doing, because at some point, if they're lucky, they'll be in that position at some point.
Yeah.
And they'll understand why he did what he did.
But now he has his contract behind him and he can just pitch.
He may not even be the closer. It sounded like he might.
That's wild.
He might be the 8th inning guy.
And that kind of makes me angry because it's like all of a sudden now he doesn't even want to close games when he wouldn't go in any other time. Like now he doesn't want to close games.
Skraby, you are going back and forth. Either you're on his side or you're not on his side.
And that's why it's a divisive topic.
Very divisive.
The Aztecs are underway in Nevada. They're shooting poorly. We're waiting for
what's
the score. It was like 6-3 the last time I looked, with
good guys or bad guys?
Bad guys. CBS Sports is not putting the score up. There it is. It's still 6-3 with 15:48 to go. Nevada leading, so kind of a slow start.
Not a fan of gray jerseys at home.
Yeah, you need a bit of a stronger color if you're at home.
Come on.
Like the Aztecs are wearing their black and red jerseys. That looks good. And at home, they wear white, right?
Yes.
That looks good. But the gray, I'm with you.
I'm not feeling that. All right, let's get to break. What do you want to talk about when we come back, Scrape?
Super Bowl. Also, we have a few more Ask Us Anything questions that we can go through.
Fair enough. You'll get more Gwynn and Chris on the other side. Here's some traffic.
From the 97.3
520. Tony Gwynn Jr. Matt Skraby. I miss Ello, man. No Ello today.
I don't.
That was too quick.
I mean, it's been nice. I don't have to deal with the. Hey, Tony Gwynn Jr. I can only do that because he's not here.
Oh, that's funny. I know funny. That's funny.
I know funny.
You said you want to talk
funny.
Super Bowl.
Yes, I want to talk about the actual game itself, but I also want to update you on Charlie Hoffman. He is
How's
tied
Charlie
for ninth.
doing? Okay.
He finished the day at 3 under. He's 7 under for the tournament. So he is in the top 10 right now. Everybody pay attention to the Waste Management Open over the weekend. Last night I came across an article on Yahoo Sports about Super Bowl Media Week and basically how it used to be a way for the players to talk to the fans, and it used to be a way for the players to promote a Super Bowl. But the article made a good point. It's all about the viral clip now. And so the article was talking about
social media,
whether or not we're being disrespectful at this point to the athletes. So Brock Purdy, he was asked about Lee Harvey Oswald and why he looks like Lee Harvey Oswald.
For the record, he kind of looks.
He kind of does. He kind of does. But I don't think that's an appropriate place to ask that question. He was also asked about a tennis player in Utah, a female tennis player, and like, hey, do you look like her? And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then he kind of agreed, yeah, maybe I look like her. Now she's going to the Super Bowl.
Now, by the way, as much as I don't like these questions, I do appreciate Brock at least giving his best effort to play along with the whole thing, right? Because he could have been like irritated, and I wouldn't have been mad at him for being irritated about it, because certainly Patrick Mahomes seemed irritated with the question he got.
Oh, yeah. Let me get that real quick, because he was asked, and I got a message later in the night that said, I'm going to wait until after we play it. So here's Patrick Mahomes.
What is your best Kermit the Frog impression?
I'm talking right now. That's it.
And he is not happy when he said that. What is your best Kermit the Frog impression? And someone reminded me that I love to do a Patrick Mahomes voice.
They reminded you? You need a reminding on that?
I kind of forgot that I do the Patrick Mahomes voice. And you know what? I'm going to stop. That was the last time.
Was he upset?
Yeah, he looks upset. He looks upset because he shot back and he kind of has this look like, really? You going to keep talking, bro? I think
but he also played along, though. I'm talking right now. That's it.
Yeah, that's
he's
his regular
acknowledging
voice.
that he's got
I don't know.
a Kermit the Frog voice.
I don't know. It seems like he's upset by this whole thing. But long story short, do you think that this whole Super Bowl Media Week is done? Because
is it done? No,
done as in like it's just not the original purpose. It's something completely
Here's
different.
the deal,
now.
right? Yes, there are some reporters out there trying to go viral, but I would say for the large part, there are legitimate questions about the game, preparation for the game. I think the clips that get shown are those clips,
and that's the problem.
Now maybe you get mad at the coverage of it in terms of what you're deciding to show to people, because and listen, in their defense, if you're showing interviews, I mean, how interesting is it to know? We're going to hear so much breakdown of the actual game, X's and O's.
Yeah.
The players aren't going to give you any of that anyway.
No.
And so, if you're going to show it, the more interesting stuff is probably the stuff that can be considered disrespectful at times.
I understand what you're saying.
You always get the young kid that's doing some interviews. He's asking questions. Like, I think that's kind of part of Super Bowl week.
I'm fine with the kid asking a question, but I feel like these questions are asked for one reason and one reason only. It's not to get an answer from the player. It's to go viral.
We don't have to whether it's ESPN or whoever us we don't have to actually play those.
We don't, but then I have nothing to talk about.
Exactly.
So I gotta maybe be a little.
How fun is it to hear? So, Brock, how do you think this game is going to go this week on Sunday?
Oh, I would love to.
No, I didn't want you to answer. I'm just saying.
I would love to hear that.
That's a question that you're going to get probably throughout the week.
What about someone asking Andy Reid about the conspiracy theory that Taylor Swift and the Chiefs are only in the Super Bowl because of her endorsing Joe Biden?
Stupid question. However, entertaining. to hear his answer.
He said it's above my pay grade.
More entertaining than hearing, hey, Andy, what's your game plan to stop Brock Purdy this week?
Why is that? That's an entertaining answer to me.
I love that. I love those type of questions for me personally. But you know how many eyeballs are tuned into the Super Bowl that aren't football fans this week?
A lot.
Probably
a whole heck
more.
of a lot.
Yeah. So maybe there's some method to the madness.
There's a little bit of method to the madness. The Aztecs are, wow, this is a struggle.
This looks like it's going to be a barn burner.
10-4 Nevada, 11 minutes and 25 seconds
10 minutes
left.
into this game, there's been 14 points scored.
Can we talk about Rob Manfred again real quick?
Yeah.
And what he said earlier, Rob Manfred was not a very complimentary of the Padres. So he was talking about how teams were spending money last year, and he kind of shades the Padres in The Athletic. He said, we always watch trends in the market. I think a concern for baseball has always been, since I started in 1988, disparity on the revenue and the payroll side. Having said that, last year we were talking about a different team eating up players, or two teams, right? And
Eating up players.
And unless what
does that even mean? Eating up players.
I know what that means. That means that you're bringing them in, but they're not going to be useful, type of thing for Major League Baseball as a whole, because they're going to San Diego. And unless
you went a little deeper. You think that's what it means?
Yeah,
that was a San Diego
and Mets, because both those teams didn't perform last year, and both those teams had a lot of great players. And I think Rob Manfred thinks those players would be best served on other teams, because then they could win.
I don't think that's what he's saying. I think what he's saying is they went out and spent all this money on players and it didn't work. We don't want you spending that kind of money, because they were up. Those were tax breakers, right? They were above the tax
the Mets,
level.
The Padres. To finish the quote, which is the most important part of the quote, and unless my recollection was bad, neither one of them were at that little event we hold in late October and early November.
There it is, right there, a little kidney shot.
Why is the commissioner, again, I asked this earlier, why is he taking shots at teams in the league?
It's a poor attempt to be funny, is what I think.
Thank you.
Stick to being a commish, not a comedian.
Stick to being the commish. Thank you.
He was trying to be funny, and it just, and for us here, we don't find it very funny.
Let's go to some Ask Us Anything questions from earlier. Real quick, Taper said, I agree with Tony. Everyone's just going to give the same generic answers if you ask them the questions about the actual game.
Right. Although I think some of it can come off as disrespectful, I think for the most part, it's all in good fun.
This is from Jocelyn. She's asking a very serious question of me.
Of you?
Yeah, this is Ask Us Anything. Skraby, do you have a girlfriend?
Uh-oh.
And if not, what kind of gal are you looking for?
Uh-oh.
I've been married for 22 years. This info is not for me.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I'm asking it, because it would be awkward if
Scrabe,
do I have a girlfriend?
What kind of gal are you looking for?
None right now, really.
What?
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say it. I was kind of dating this girl for a little bit. Didn't work out. So
you jaded now?
No, not jaded. Not jaded at all, actually. It didn't work out. I have a very good life. I'm fine with my life. Everyone around me swears that I'm depressed, and everybody around me swears that I need to get a girlfriend. But I haven't met that person yet. So
Skraby, let me tell you guys something. We have tried to hook Skraby up on blind dates. This dude turns us down consistently.
Well,
and when I say we, me and Chris
tries to set me up, and I'm like, Chris, I told you I'm not interested, because
you're
the one setting me up.
But I think there's good intentions here, man.
I know there are good intentions there.
I don't think Chris would steer you wrong. I really don't.
I never said that he would steer me wrong.
Let's be real. Chris isn't here, so I can say this. Chris has outkicked his coverage.
Yes, he has.
So I think he got good taste.
He does have good taste, but here's the thing that I get nervous about, is because I had a relationship like years and years ago. It ended, and it was one of those things where someone introduced me to this person and they were friends. And then it started becoming weird, because the friend who introduced me kept asking how the relationship's going, and then we would hang out and it would become about the relationship and what maybe I'm doing wrong. And I'm like, whoa,
Oh,
like
yeah,
this is
that seems a little intrusive, right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were close friends, but it's like that's why I want to keep those worlds separate.
I just have this strange feeling you won't have to worry about that with Chris. I don't think he's gonna be coming to your house and you guys are gonna be hanging out. He's gonna be like, "Hey, well, how's the relationship going, Skraby?"
And I'll be like, "None of ya."
I don't think he would do that though.
He would.
He would not.
Oh my gosh, Chris would in a
Stop it.
heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
No, he would.
Tony, if you were
Yes.
the Padres GM, who would you
Oh.
get this
Why
offseason?
do I got to be the GM?
Just give us one.
I'd sign Tommy Pham.
There you go. Okay. There's comments coming in right now about
This
me
is
and the
about your-
girlfriend are not good.
You opened this door, so this is your fault.
Okay, here's another one. Eric, in Men in Black, Milton Bradley was distracted by a UFO and the ball hits him in the head. Is that considered fan interference?
He wasn't.
Yep.
Totally forgot about that.
I didn't know it was Milton Bradley, but I remember this scene.
Wow.
Is that considered fan interference?
Give me the question again.
In Men in Black, Milton Bradley was distracted by a UFO and the ball hit him in the head. Is that considered fan interference?
No, is a UFO in play? Did they?
It didn't hit the UFO.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
because he was looking for the
looking
fly
up, right?
ball, and then the UFO came, and he was like, "Huh?" and it hit him in the head.
That's fair play.
Fair play. So if we want to
Be like if that goose flew over right as the fly
The
balls.
rally
yeah,
goose?
the rally goose flew over. You kind of took your eye off.
That's a good point.
It's the same thing.
Doesn't matter if it's UFO or if it's rally goose.
Right.
Either way.
Same
Okay.
old, same old.
Last one, then we go to break. Nate says, "What is your favorite sports moment when you played sports?" Tony has much better sports moments. You go first, and I'll tell mine after.
I could say the easy one, which is the Trevor Hoffman, but I'll take you back to hitting a half-court shot. My final high school basketball game of my career.
Yes.
Against our rival Rancho Bernardo.
I've heard this many times.
Probably one of my greatest sports memories of all time.
Your greatest sports memory of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a really good
I mean,
memory. But you also played professional sports.
Yeah, no, that was cool. That was cool, but I'd never been rushed off of a court like I was that day. That was pretty.
Did you get
cool.
carried off?
No, I just
Oh.
got pushed out. Like
That's not fun.
No, it was a little scary.
Yeah,
I stayed on my feet. That's the only thing I kept saying. Don't fall. Don't fall.
Yeah, because then you get trampled. My favorite sports moment was in high school, and I was playing football, and I sacked a quarterback, and that was my best. Varsity, yes. Yes, I hit him from behind.
What was your celebration? Did you do anything? Oh, you can't celebrate in high school.
Well, I didn't really celebrate, but I was so excited.
I can see you just not knowing what to do at all.
I stood up and I was looking around and I looked at the stands where my parents were and I raised my hand in the air like, I did it. But
that's awesome.
I hit the guy so hard because,
go,
well, by the way, the block was missed. I had nobody in front of me. I had everybody's dream in football, defensive end without a blocker in front of him. And he was a lefty. So he didn't see anything coming. And I hit him and I hear him go, ooh. And I hit him on the ground too. And he was like, whoa. And I was like, yes, this is the most amazing thing in the world. One play of my high school career.
That's awesome.
And then I did the raise in the air. Really dorky.
It was very generic of you right there. Yeah.
Really dorky. I also got one time Maurice Jones-Drew. We were playing against De La Salle in high school. And
this doesn't end well.
No, it does not. I tried to tackle him and I put my arm out like he was coming through, and my arm almost was decapitated because his legs were bigger than me. And my arm just went poof, and I felt like I dislocated my arm because of how big his legs were. But he was incredible in that game. Obviously, he was an NFL player.
That's it's not a tackle I want to make. All right, let's get to break. When we come back, Sam Levitt joined us earlier to talk a little bit about the upcoming spring training. More Gwynn and Chris on the way. 5:40 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Sello, not here. Matt Skraby is, though. He's got his Niner jacket on. He's feeling himself right now.
The reason behind it.
What's this hodgepodge reason?
Hodgepodge reason is because the last 2 Fridays that the 49ers have played a playoff game, I have worn this jacket from 5 until 7. And so call me a superstitious person.
I hope this blows up on you.
But I am wearing a jacket from 5 until 7 today. Yeah.
I hope the way you feel after that about that jacket after this game is that you never want to wear it again.
Well, I don't really like the jacket because it's not very warm and it's noisy and it's old.
Yeah, you don't like the noisy.
I don't. It's so bad. Like, it's not good for radio.
It's the trash can, the trash bag jacket.
It kind of is. I mean, this is an old.
You remember
jacket.
the
starter?
The jackets you used, or the kind of when you needed to lose weight and sweat, those little trash bag joints?
Yes, I do. Man, they treated us a lot different back in the
It was
day.
a different ball game, right?
Like, hey, you're a little too heavy. Put on a trash bag.
Go run around the field for a little
Run
bit.
until you pass out.
Poway is one of the biggest wrestling schools in the nation.
Yeah.
I used to see when I was in high school, those guys used to do that all. They had to cut weight. They be looking real bad for a little bit, trying to cut weight,
Oh,
get
yeah.
out of that, and get to eat for the first time was like the best thing. It was like the best thing ever watched.
That would be. That would be like once you weigh in and you can eat, it'd be like, oh,
just crush. All right. Sam Levitt joined us earlier. Talk a little Padres. Talk about his trip, his soon-to-be trip to Arizona as he gets set for spring training. Before we get to it, here's a little traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, big hats off to those of you who had to hit the roads all this week with this crazy weather. Just rest assured, next week should be much nicer. We're going to have mostly sunny skies. Just a few problems to wrap up our afternoon, early evening drive. There is a collision on westbound 78 right before Twin Oaks Valley Road. It's in the center divide. Southbound 5 still clearing an accident right before SeaWorld Drive. Everything is over to the right shoulder. And southbound 15 cleared that accident near Adams Avenue. Hope everyone has a very safe and happy weekend. You've earned it. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Anything different this year? What's your living situation in Arizona this year?
So-
You close to the stadium? Because that's usually a must for me. I got to be close to the stadium.
Well, I am farther, actually significantly farther from the
Wow.
stadium. Last year I was close. The room, the living situation was not great last year. Now I did it, no complaints. I did not complain much about it. I got through the 7 weeks or whatever it was. This year we got Airbnb, but we're like 20 minutes away. So
you
it's gonna be a little
sacrifice
farther.
distance for comfort.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. And it looks good. I'm looking forward to it. So a little bit farther, which is okay too, because some of the quote unquote away games, will be down in Glendale or Surprise or wherever it is. So it'll make it easier, I think, to get back after those. But yes, I sacrificed the drive time for maybe the quality. I'm feeling good about that decision. Tony, when I see you in Arizona, I will have a full report on how I'm doing. But I don't know, 15, 20 minutes back and forth didn't seem very far to me, although we do get started so early that, last year, like it did help to be really close. So the jury is out on what I sacrificed for the Airbnb.
It's funny, when I was playing and, it made more sense for me to like rent a place that was a little further away to have comfort. As I like went through my career, the older I got, the more I was like, man, I'd much rather be closer. I got to be here at like 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. I would like that extra 35, 40 minutes of sleep if I can snatch it.
That's a long time.
Yeah. And it's funny, Sam was saying how he didn't complain. He made it through. I could tell you the absolute truth. By week 7 last year, my man Sam was hanging on by a thread. When my man walked into the clubhouse every morning, you could just see it on his face. It was like, and at one point I was like, "You ready to go home, huh?" He was like,
Yeah.
I can't wait to get out of here."
It's funny. There was actually, so when we first got there last year, I was joking with some people. in the clubhouse and whatever throughout the complex. I mean, I was loving it, and it was great. I was having a great time. I was energetic. I was like, this is great. You got all this baseball stuff. It's fun. It's relaxed. It's all the things you really like about spring training. And you would come up to me at one point, and some other people came up to me at one point, I think around week 5, week 6.
Yep.
And they were like, man, you've just got kind of this glazed over look on your face. I mean, are you okay? I'm like, it's getting to me. It's getting to me. Now, I think the living situation was part of that. There's no doubt, Tony, I was feeling it. I was really, really feeling it. And I think compared to when we first got there in the first few weeks, it was very, very obvious. Hey, the shorter spring training, I think is gonna
definitely
really
will benefit.
cure that.
Just so you know, don't feel bad. All of us feel the same way. Like
Yes.
we get there, the first 2 weeks are just like it's like a kid in a candy store. And
Hey, what's going on?
Right,
Hey,
it's like
how are
it's
you?
like the first day of school. Like you meeting everybody.
How was
you
your
say,
off
yeah,
season?
exactly, right? And then like by week 3, it's like Groundhog Day.
Like you
every day,
again?
like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, I gotta stand here for this scrum. Is it gonna start? Oh, okay, here we go. Let's go, guys. And you kind of get into your day. Sam, your expectations this year, man. The Padres obviously coming off of a really tough season last year, didn't reach the expectation level. They come in, at least as of February 9th, with a roster that feels a little incomplete still, but what are your expectations going into the year for this ball club?
Well, I think it's really hard to project right now because there's so much unknown. I mean, I think when I compare it to last spring training, last spring training, there was so much hype, but there wasn't a lot of baseball questions to be answered. There really wasn't. I mean, we knew what the team would look like. We pretty much knew where everybody was playing, and it was just about how all the pieces would fit together. This year is so different for so many reasons. There are so many questions. There are so many new elements to the team, and obviously with a new manager and Mike Schultz as well. So, it's hard to project. I mean, I think even right now, knowing what we know about this roster, I think this being a wild card team is a very realistic expectation based on the core they have, the talent they have, what parts of their offense could do, what their bullpen could be, what the top of their rotation could be. But obviously after that, and it sounds crazy to say because we're literally 48 hours away from the start of spring training, but I just don't know how you can really project anything when you don't have a concrete answer for who's playing center, who's playing left, who's DHing. And then with your 4 and 5 starter spots, you don't truly know right now what exactly those look like. I mean, you have certainly an idea of who makes them up, what that group looks like right now, but you don't know how that all shakes out. So I think it's hard to project. But with that said, when you look at the core and quite frankly, just baseball in 2024 and what it takes to be a wild card team, I do think even right now that is a very fair and realistic expectation for a fan base, for this team. And obviously there are a lot of questions to be answered, but it's a very different, feel to the start of spring training just because of, the trade of Soto and having a new manager and all of it, but also when you have all these questions. So look, I think from a baseball perspective, this spring training is honestly far more interesting than last year's was. It really will be, because there are just key spots where you don't know what it's going to look like on opening day.
Yeah, certainly make our jobs easier, like doing these shows after the game, because there will actually be, like, I just think back to not last year, but 2 years ago, there were a few roster spots and competitions that, you could lock in on, and they were like competitions throughout the course of spring training. Whereas last year, the only competition was for the bench spots and a few, one rotation spot, a couple bullpen spots, which for rotation and starting pitching spots, you really can't cover them all the time because they're not going to pitch all the time. And for the position players, that only popped up because a lot of guys went off to the World Baseball Classic. So it will be a lot more interesting this year in terms of trying to figure out who's going to be where.
Yeah, and there's so much that could still happen. Like, yes, I think for the time being, unless new faces are inside that clubhouse, we are going to spend a lot of time in the first couple of weeks talking about center field and left field and DH, quite frankly, in particular. I mean, I think one of the key questions entering Sunday when pitchers and catchers report is, okay, you have, let's take an example, somebody like Jackson Merrill, who right now, if the plan is to put him in left field and play him out there, I would assume would be probably a leader in the clubhouse to be a starting left fielder, unless you're going to take somebody else, whether it's one of these guys that you've brought in that's more of a AAA, maybe major league type player. So look, I just think right now there's so much unknown. There's unknown of who else can they bring in. I mean, look, I would not put it out of the question that there's a new face or two inside this clubhouse at some point in spring training. Significant guys who could start in center field, start in left field, be a DH every day. But until we see that signing or that trade, whatever it is, you can't operate, based on a move that hasn't yet been made. So it's an interesting scenario, because if that move isn't made, then you're looking at a scenario where it's, either a non-roster invite, somebody like that, or one of your significant prospects like a Jackson Merrill getting a huge opportunity with not a ton of experience playing the outfield or at AA. So it's really hard to project right now. And but I think from just the spring training perspective, it makes it certainly a more fascinating few weeks. But as far as the move, to be honest with you guys, I still would be surprised if we get to opening day and this team heading to Korea and there's not a move made. It just seems like there's too much to fill for there not to be a move made, even if that's just, signing a guy, an example like a Jerkson Profar, right? It feels like there's got to be a move somewhere or two. And look, the reason I still believe that's a real possibility is just look at the market. I mean, you've got Snell, Montgomery, Bellinger, JD Martinez. I mean, those names and many more who still aren't with the team. And we're days away from every team reporting to spring training. So there's a lot of unknown, and I think there's a lot that could happen. And until, we see some new faces in that clubhouse that we don't have right now, I think you're going to focus on, okay, well, what are the options for all these different blank spaces in the lineup? So for all those reasons, I know a rambling answer, but fascinating, I think, and from a baseball perspective, more fascinating than last year even.
Talking to Sam Levitt here, Padres radio pre and post host, and I like that, Sam. You just dropped the Taylor Swift reference. I know you did. Blank spaces is definitely a Taylor Swift reference, and we know you love Taylor Swift.
It's in the lexicon.
I do like Taylor Swift. I am rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 58.
Yes.
For a couple of reasons. And it's not, one of the reasons is not that I'm just going against Skraby. Number one,
it's my main reason.
I like greatness. Okay. I like the idea of Patrick Mahomes winning a third before he turns 30. I like the idea of Travis Kelce and Andy Reid getting another. And I will admit, I like, when we talk about greatness, Taylor Swift is right in that category. Okay. So I like the idea of this being kind of the end of the story of this season. I like the idea that she's coming from Tokyo to make the Super Bowl, and then we'll be on the field with Travis Kelce, embracing after they win. I like it. And for all these people that complain and post about them showing Taylor Swift on the broadcast, it makes me want them to show her more, because people keep complaining. Get over it. I am rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they will win. And Skraby, if they don't, I guess the consolation prize is that you will be a very happy man.
Thank you.
So I guess we win either way.
One thing I've learned about Sam over the years is that he is the opposite of what I am, a hater. He likes when these big stories happen.
That's not true. That's not true.
Okay, you might be a hater in certain
hate
things
sometimes,
but for the most part, when I say, Sam, doesn't this annoy you? You're like, no, it's actually kind of cool. And I'm like, that just annoys me that Taylor Swift is on TV.
Your hate is on a whole nother level. So
not anymore.
Not everybody can reach that type of.
I got one real quick question for Sam.
Yes.
Is the only reason you're cheering for the Chiefs because of Taylor Swift?
No,
he just said he liked greatness.
Well, then at the end he was like, and I like the greatness of Taylor Swift.
It's all connected.
Let's be honest, she falls in that category too. Absolutely. I mean, I have not been to one of the concerts on this tour. I may be going to one in Canada all the way next winter. We'll see. It's a long way away, but I do have a ticket as of right now.
I mean, that's how long you got to plan it out if you're going to go to it.
Yes, absolutely. So, look at this tour. Look at all this. I know she's not everybody's favorite, but I think you've got to appreciate Taylor Swift and what she's done. And keep in mind, this is somebody that was on the radio when I was like 15.
That's true.
And I mean, a decade and a half later, like she's at the apex of her powers. I mean, greatness. The Chiefs, Taylor Swift. I think it's going to happen.
We go hand in hand, Scrape.
I wish I never texted Sam to come on the show today.
You heard it there first. Sam Levitt. You got to respect it. Talking Taylor Swift. You're going to see a lot of her as the Chiefs pile up points this weekend.
That's fine. I can't wait. I honestly am just happy that the game is almost here because I'm over waiting.
Good. Me too.
Good.
That's going to do it for this week. Next week, we'll be back at it. Hopefully, the Chiefs will be crowned Super Bowl champs.
Okay, all right.
You guys have a lovely weekend. Make sure you're back into your parking spots. Skraby Chronicles up next.
When I grocery shop, I only want to go to one store, so I go to Smart & Final. They've got quality meats, fresh produce, and club sizes.